In there, we were going to pay something like 1.6 billion for photocopies. Doctors, they charge us 5 times what they charge a medical aid.
And you have proof of this?
Absolutely. Public passengers.
Taxi commuters.
They have got a limit.
Of how much they get?
Maximum 25,000. I arrived at the road accident fund. We had 1.2 billion worth of duplicate payments that these lawyers had. 1.2 billion, Mashabe.
King David Studio podcast.
You're always in the paper.
When was this?
I'll tell you which paper is this. Because I've been keeping them since I knew there was a date coming. This is actually old.
Yeah.
December 2023. I've been interested in having you here for a while.
Yes, I had. But hey,
for a while.
It's been hectic.
Yeah, no, it'll be easy. Yeah. So this is a December 2023 one that says Collins Letsoalo stands firm on allegations against legal fraternity. Road Accident Fund CEO stands accused of tarnishing the image of the legal profession. He in turn accused the Legal Practice Council of being a gentlemen's and ladies' club that protect each other instead of regulating lawyers.
Of course.
How are you?
I'm good in yourself.
I'm glad you made it. What else was worrying? Like that already the paragraph there says D-man is affecting everyone.
Yes.
What is your response to that particular one?
Well, I stand by it. I think part of it is that South Africans are not used to a person that calls it like it is. And I think sometimes we tend to want to veer off and try to hide. And the truth is the truth. I'm the kind of guy that says it even if it's to my detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're fine with but you can't poke at a king. You're don't be too truthful to a man like that. Is that what you're saying? Or you're fine doing that?
Well, we'll go back to the issue of, but the emperor is naked.
Yes.
So if the emperor is naked, he doesn't want to be told I'm naked, but the reality is that the emperor is naked. So the issues here are very simple, is that what we are doing at the Road Accident Fund is ensuring that the claimant is dealt with in a way that they have not been dealt with before. So someone who cares that they are treated equitably and that they get their fair share.
Yeah.
I mean, lawyers have been getting a big portion of this Road Accident Fund kitty. The reality is that this is the battle for the soul of the RAF.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it is.
Do you feel the RAF has finally found itself in a place where it can fight for itself against an onslaught of lawyers that have been pillaging, if that's true, from the RAF?
Absolutely. You ask any South African, they will tell you they know a lawyer that is very rich from actually filling forms. I mean, what do RAF lawyers do, in fact? And then the difficulty with it, David, is if you think about it, all they do is fill forms. And after filling forms, they then make money from that. It is the only social benefit scheme that works on delict, meaning you are suing someone to get something that you are entitled to. Imagine if you were to do that at SASSA and say, everyone who wants to have a child support grant, please sue us. And that's exactly what is happening here. So we are saying you don't have to sue the state to get that money. That money is entitled, it's yours. And it's a very interesting phenomenon, David. When we started, our predecessors had decided to settle claims in 1,400 days.
Okay. That's 2 years.
No.
3 years.
No.
How long?
4 years.
4 years. Yeah. What?
Okay. The law says it must be done in 120 days. They planned to fail. So we are now saying we want to do it in 120 days. And it's because, David, I'm sure you know someone who has been involved in a car accident, a serious victim.
Yeah.
There are some things that South Africans may not know. In 1993, I lost my own brother to a car crash. He was hit by a car in the middle of Seshego Township.
Sure.
Passed on. and my family has never got a cent.
What should have happened?
Well, at least they should have paid us for his funeral. They got nothing. Now, here's the question. I'm saying to South Africans, I don't want any mother or father or any family to experience what my family has experienced.
Yeah.
So people say that may be personal. If it's personal, then that's fine, because it helps another South African not to find themselves in what my family had found themselves to be. So I'm saying this fund is meant for victims.
Yeah.
Now, what they don't tell you, these lawyers, is that they are the ones that wrote the law.
Okay, explain that.
Lawyers write the law. The law is written by lawyers.
Of course.
In terms of Section 19C, let me read it for you.
I see you came ready.
I came ready because
So
I want to
I.
read.
Yeah.
I want to read this 19C for you, because people will say, no, this Letsoalo guy is a problem. It says liabilities excluded in certain cases, meaning the RAF would not pay. It says the fund or an agent shall not be obliged to compensate any person in terms of Section 17 for any loss or damage. C says if the claim consent has not been instituted and prosecuted by the third party, meaning you directly,
yes,
or on behalf of the third party by. Listen to this first one.
Yeah.
Roman figure 1, any person entitled to practice as an attorney within the Republic.
That's a lawyer, that's standard, yeah.
Or Roman figure 2, any person who is in the service or who is a representative of the state or government or a provincial, territorial, or local authority. Who's that?
Help me understand. Who's that?
No one.
No one like that?
No, there's no one like this in South Africa. Who is this?
Let's go back to it. Let's hear it again. We know the first one is a lawyer. Yeah.
Who is in the service or who is a representative of the state or government or a provincial, territorial, or local authority.
So you're saying such a creature doesn't exist?
Does not exist. Doesn't even say RAF employee.
Huh.
But here's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
If in 120 days, the road accident fund does not give you an offer, you must issue summons.
Forcing the road accident fund to pay?
No, forcing the accident fund to do something about your claim.
Okay.
Now, here's my question. Sitting here, how do I issue summons as Collins Letsoalo?
You're not able to.
You're not. So he's a lawyer. So they're just effectively saying that must be the lawyer.
So are you saying all of this was created for the convenience
Absolutely.
of the legal profession?
Absolutely. Listen to this one. D. Where the third party has entered into an agreement with any person, either than the one referred to in paragraph C, the first one I had, which is a Roman figure 1, which is the lawyer, and this other person we don't know, in accordance with which the third party has undertaken to pay such person after the settlement of the claim, a portion of the compensation in respect of the claim, or any amount in respect of the investigation or service rendered in respect of the handling of the claim, otherwise than on instructions from the person contemplated in paragraph C, Roman figure 1 and Roman figure 2. So what are they saying? They say if you enter into a contract with anyone except us
meaning
lawyers,
yes,
then the RAF must not honor. They must not pay.
You found this like this.
It is like this. It's there. It's the act. It is here. South Africans must go read for themselves. The Road Accident Fund Act as we know it today. The applicable act.
Says in simple language, it says you need a lawyer to be able to get your money.
Absolutely.
In simple terms.
In simple terms.
Can you do it without a lawyer at all?
Of course. They say here that it must be you as the third party.
You or
the lawyer. Or through a lawyer.
Yeah.
But you must issue summons as Mashabel. How are you going to issue summons?
Because I don't know how to.
You don't know how to. So you're going to end up with a lawyer. So they have effectively put this thing in here. Now, here's the thing that people don't understand. Let me start with this thing of the Road Accident Fund, and maybe let's study it a bit back, Mashabela.
Let's do that.
To understand this thing, how it is. And I'm going to say this at the risk of a lot of other things. And I'm going to say quite controversial things. So
it's fine.
Please pardon me for being controversial.
It's a safe space.
That's the yeah.
Yeah.
So the Road Accident Fund, its initial, it started in 1942.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, in 1942, your ancestors and my ancestors never owned cars.
No.
But they were pedestrians.
So they would be hit by a car.
They would be hit by a car that is owned by a person of a certain race.
Yes. A white person.
The government then decided these people with this delict and all that, they are now suing. They are mostly black people suing white people. It doesn't make sense, does it? Okay? So they then decided to start this fund.
Yeah.
But they then said to the big insurance companies of the time, you will be obliged to give this cover of third-party compensation.
Okay.
And this is how much the premium would be. So people know about this thing called, I think when we were growing up, me and you, was called the third-party sticker.
Of course, yes.
That they would arrest your father or mother if they were driving a car without a third-party sticker, because it was compulsory to buy that insurance. Yeah. Now, remember, this is not for the victim. The aim of it is an indemnity fund for the driver.
To protect the driver.
To protect the driver.
So when the driver hits someone, he doesn't end up in trouble.
Yeah, because then that person, instead of suing that driver, the road accident fund will step into the shoes.
Got you.
Of that driver. That's what it was meant for. Now, it was in private sector hands. Now, this is 1942.
Yeah.
1946, they start this thing, I think on the 1st of April.
Yeah.
By 1950, they've already had a commission. Okay. This thing is not sustainable.
Which challenges were they facing at the time?
They are facing the very same problem we are facing. The money that they've collected is not enough to pay out the number of people.
Okay.
It's not equitable. It's also not sustainable from a financial point of view. Because they had put a premium and the insurance companies, with the private sector, are already complaining.
We're not making money.
We are not making money from this thing.
Yeah.
You are forcing us to do this thing. We are not making money with this thing. Long and short of it, it has got 9 commissions of inquiry since it started in 1946. Opens its doors in 1946. What is interesting then happens, in 1981, there is another commission. But then before another commission comes, it collapses in 1986.
Are you saying the road accident fund collapses?
The third-party compensation scheme for motor vehicles, as it was. At the time, they don't call it the road accident fund. It's not called the third-party insurance. Not this yet.
Yeah.
It collapses in the hands of private sector.
Yeah.
And I think around April, May, it collapses. Then it's only in September that the government then comes up with this thing of the fuel levy.
Okay.
They say, okay, let's collect this money using the fuel levy because people are not affording it and all that. And at 1981 already, this thing was bankrupt. Now, they are sitting there.
Where do we get the money?
Where do you get the money? They then say, all over the world, people are collecting money using this thing of the fuel levy, so let's use the fuel levy.
Pause 1 second. SABC should do that. Should force all of us to pay our licenses differently, but it's a story for another time. Yeah. How do they get the money for us to be able to watch television? They must come up with a creative way.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So, but that thing is simple, by the way. I'll help you solve it towards the end. It's actually very simple to actually collect that money.
Okay.
Now, in 1986, when this thing collapses, for some months, about 4 months, South Africans don't have third-party insurance because this thing has collapsed in the hands of private sector.
So you're saying there was a moment where it did not exist?
For 4 months. As they are trying to
get it right.
To grapple with this thing, how do we do this thing? Then they come up with this thing of the fuel levy.
Yes.
This thing happens in 1986. Private sector says no more. This thing has collapsed. A government then comes up with this way of collecting this money.
Yeah.
But then it then becomes a social benefit scheme.
Okay.
Interestingly, you would have thought they are collecting the money, so they must just get a government entity to come and you apply.
Manage the process.
But the interesting thing is the interest must still be the beneficiary who must be the claimant. No, it's still in a way the very same thing where the social benefit scheme steps into the shoes of the wrongdoer.
Explain. Money comes into the account through me paying my fuel.
Yes.
Money then goes to this kitty.
It goes to SARS.
SARS then gives it through Treasury. It ends up with you.
It ends up with us.
So you're saying it's a social grant, clearly, of sorts.
Yes.
Because, but explain this little bit towards the end of your statement.
No, remember, this is tax monies that are collected.
Yeah.
For the benefit of someone who is injured.
Yes.
Now, the perpetrator is being protected.
The driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you are saying now this person still sues the state for them to get their social benefit. It's upset, but that's the issue. Absurdity of the
that's how it's designed.
But that's how it's designed.
Yeah.
It continues to be designed this way. But then they say, instead of going and saying, no, like, fine, now that this thing has collapsed, let's form a social benefit scheme, as we want to call it, and let it continue to take off the claim, and they must just come and claim from us. They still continue with this delictual issue where they are saying, sue us so we can pay you.
Sharp.
Okay?
Which is historic. Yeah.
Now, when they get that, they say, okay, interesting, right? Insurers, right? You must remember this part. These are insurers, private sector.
Yes.
They now become administrators of the scheme.
So they're
still making money of it.
Even though they don't manage it, really.
They are now administrating the scheme. There is no road accident fund yet. The very same people are now administrating the money of the state that gets put in that kitty and getting paid to someone. So they become administrators of the
Essentially, government found a way of generating the money more efficiently.
Yeah.
By drivers paying.
Exactly.
And now these ones are saying, don't close us out.
Yes.
We still want
they become
part of
participants.
this. Yeah.
Then it continues like that. Then, of course, there's TBVC states. Then they take these multilateral funds and they put them together and all that. Some sort of a dog's breakfast. But I mean, it's been managed by these guys.
It's moving.
Yeah, it's moving. And then, of course, in 1996, the Road Accident Fund Act comes in.
How different is it from what was just happening?
I want you to underline this.
Yeah.
Because very important. Public passengers.
Taxi commuters.
Bus
commuters and so forth.
Maximum 25,000.
Explain.
They have got a limit
of how much they get.
How much they can be compensated.
If you're driving a taxi, I'm a passenger.
Yes.
And we get involved in an accident.
Yes.
There's a limit how much I can get.
Yes.
If you are driving a taxi, I'm a passenger.
Yes.
We hit someone who was jumping the street.
Yes.
Is there a limit for that?
Yes, but it was mostly on public passengers.
Okay. Right. I'm trying to see.
Yes, but what I'm trying to show you is who are public passengers in the main in South Africa?
It's Botaki.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you sit with that. Okay.
Yeah.
25,000.
Irrespective of how grave
the others can get whatever they want to get.
Who are the others in that sense?
No, but the others are passengers of private vehicles.
Ah, got you.
Yes. Public passengers, 25,000. So taxi people. And these are majority of people. I mean, the majority of South Africans. By the way, a lot of South Africans don't own cars, even today. Okay, so the amount of cars that are in South Africa, I think they're less than 15 million now. The population is 60. So you would understand.
True.
Okay, so that's the majority of our people that don't own. So they sort of are in this thing. They're paying the same. Their guys are paying the same 2 rand, some odd, but what they are getting out of it is limited.
What are we learning from the 25,000 rands limit in this regard?
It's not equitable.
Yeah,
it's not equitable at all. I mean, I as Collins Letsoalo, who earns more, end up being able to claim more, or my children able to claim more than a person who really needs this money.
That's true.
Okay?
Whose life is affected
I could actually insure
gravely.
myself.
Yes.
What is the social benefit scheme that insures rich people?
So you're saying you don't even need it?
No,
Really?
I'm saying, as Collins Letsoalo,
Yes.
I don't really need it.
Mm.
But the person who is out there in Alexander and somewhere else really needs this.
Mhm.
Okay? But then they are limited to some 25,000.
Yeah.
Only until 2008 when this was removed.
Okay.
Now let me tell you something that you are going to hear about. This guy is always fighting with everyone and all that, because there was a thing called public passenger liability insurance.
Okay.
You have never heard about it. Public passenger liability insurance means if you are a public passenger and you are driving, you are riding in a cab, which is a taxi, public vehicle, you're actually insured
Okay.
by insurance companies.
This is now beginning 2008.
No.
Before that.
4 days in memorial. When you have to get a permit for public,
Yes. As an owner of
as
the
an
car.
owner of the car, a taxi car.
Yes.
When he arrives there and he says, I want a permit to run a taxi permit, they then say to him, where is your cover for public passenger liability
Maybe it's
insurance?
a public event.
No. That's a separate thing.
Okay.
This is where you're going to get, this is like PDP.
Oh,
where
for
I say,
the driver.
Yeah, for the
Yes,
driver.
yeah.
But this one is insurance for the public passenger.
The owner of the taxi has to pay
Has
it.
to pay it every month. No one in South Africa has ever been paid a cent
Of that.
We are told by the Financial Service Conduct Authority, David, that there are 22, as at least a year back, there are 22 insurers in South Africa that are offering that kind of insurance. Now, we asked them, what is the claims ratio? They said it's very low. We said low might mean zero. They say yes. Because I have struggled to meet anyone who has ever been paid. But these guys have continued to collect these monies even today.
For how many years now?
Since day in memorial.
So we're talking trillions.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Okay?
Where does this money go?
It goes to insurance companies.
And it's free money.
It's free money for them because they have got no risk. They are underwriting something they will never pay.
Who is distributing it to them? What is the process?
No,
in
but
this
remember,
regard?
you just go
And
to some
even post office.
Letsoalo, whatever.
Yes.
You go there and you say, I have got this. And then the guy says, okay, for public passenger liability insurance, you will pay some 800 rands every month. And then that 800 rands goes to X insurer. And then that person collects that money
Every month.
every month. Then you get involved in a car accident or a bus accident or a taxi accident or a bus accident, they don't pay. They send you to RAF. Now,
because you're represented under RAF as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. Which one must be we must be the one of last resort. It can't be with the first us. It must be the people that are collecting the money that must pay you. Whatever the remainder must be from RAF. But it doesn't happen like that. Apparently, we are an insurer of first instance.
Do you know which whether you mention them or not, neither here nor there? These are normal everyday insurance companies that you and I know.
They say they are 22. They don't want to give me the names. Maybe you must ask them. Maybe they will give you the names. They don't want to give us the names.
Wow.
And that's a fact. That's factual.
Go back one step.
Yes.
I'm curious to know the process by which we analyze the process by which the money ends up in your account as RAF through SARS. This one, these insurance companies, how does it end up in their account? It's me
like
buying
yours.
a taxi.
Yeah, and you paying every month like you are paying for
But
your
who am I
car
paying?
to be crashed. The insurer.
The insurer. And it's a requirement.
It's a requirement. You know.
By law.
By law.
By the South African
yes.
law that says I have to have this.
You must have it. You know that there's another one called public liability insurance.
And who does that one cover?
I don't know who has ever been paid by public liability.
Who is it? Who has to pay for it every month?
I'm sure you are paying for it in your insurance for a car. If you go and look at somewhere, you'd see public liability.
So the minute I buy a car and I get an insurance,
you get insurance. There must be. There is SASRIA in there.
Yeah, SASRIA is for.
There is public liability. Go and check it. actually millions. You might find that yours is 20 million or whatever. Mine is about 15 or something like that.
My goodness.
No one ever pays that.
Nobody ever claims
Nobody
it.
ever claims that, but they collect that money. Okay?
I wonder how many of these type of things
Exactly.
exist.
Okay? So now, you can understand. The RAF is now saying to them, but you owe us. For all these monies that we have ever been paid public passengers, you must give us that money. It's our money. It's money that we paid. You are supposed to pay it. That money must come into the kitty as well.
And you've made millions and trillions of in interest.
Absolutely. So that's the fight. Okay, so you're going to hear this thing that says, no, but like this, they're fighting with everybody. It's not the case. It is a case of saying, but these things have been wrong in the past. Let's correct them.
So are you saying there's a lot of people who have vested interest in making sure that you lose every fight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me give you a classic example, which is very strange. And I know that this is going to make a lot of noise out there. But it's the reality of running the road accident fund. So, majority of judges in the judiciary are former RAF plaintiff attorneys.
So meaning that they were once in the panel, so to speak.
No. Forget the panel is the defense panel. There are others that come from there.
Or the claimants panel, so to speak.
Yes.
How do you know that?
No, but they are all there. You can ask them. Some of them are judge presidents.
Allow me to defend them for 1 second.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a common practice.
Yes.
Claiming for insurance.
Absolutely.
Claiming for RAF. It's a common practice by lawyers.
Yes.
Most legal law firms, some have it as the main business.
Yes.
Some have it as these two young guys will handle this.
Absolutely.
Because it's form, as you said.
Absolutely.
So it's not surprising to find out of 100 lawyers, 70 of them having done this sometime in 80 of them, or 90 of them having done this sometime in their past.
Yes.
It's not surprising.
Yes.
It's almost like saying it's not surprising finding out of 100 black people in South Africa, 90 of them having been in a taxi.
Absolutely.
It's a refitako, all of us.
Absolutely.
So am I right in defending them that this is a common practice?
No problem at all. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
The problem becomes when we want to change the system that they've been beneficiaries of. Okay? That they've been beneficiaries of. You know, Mashavela, when we started, one of the issues was to deal with the issue of what we call administrative costs. Lawyers are taking, at least from our numbers, before they even pay the 25% to whoever, they are taking 10.6 billion or 40 billion, which is a quarter.
What?
Every year.
Yeah. So you're saying before the 25%, there's already a 25%?
There's already a 25% they're getting from RAF, which is legal costs associated with running this thing. And we are saying, this does not make sense.
Which lawyers are these? The ones that are defending you or that are
both
claiming? Okay.
Both.
Okay.
So, this is money going to them that should have been going to the claimant. We then go and we say, this does not make sense. But here's the problem that we have.
Yeah.
As a person that is claiming, so David wants to claim. David finds himself in a space where he wants to claim. And when he claims, he wants his claim to be expedited quite quickly because he wants to be assisted and all that.
All reasonable.
All reasonable.
Yeah.
Very, very reasonable, by the way. I mean, 120 days is quite a lot.
Yes.
For
someone
who's
who's
just
been in an accident.
breadwinner.
Absolutely.
Let's just say a child who's claiming loss of support, who lost a breadwinner today, wants to be assisted
immediately. Yeah.
Now, it's worse. They want to bury somebody. They want the money today. Yes. Not in terms of this act. This act says go and bury somebody, then we'll pay you after.
Come claim after. Go figure it out.
Go figure it out. And the people that are figuring it out is me and you. We have the money.
We can.
Now, it's worse. Let me read it for you. The most inhumane piece of legislation I've ever read.
Yeah.
The liability of the fund, so it says liability limited in certain cases.
Okay.
Then it says 18.4 says the liability of the fund or an agent to compensate a third party for any loss or damage contemplated in Section 17, which is as a result of the death of any person shall, in respect of funeral expenses, be limited to the necessary actual costs to cremate the deceased or inter him or her in a grave. These are not funeral costs.
No, these are costs of mortuary.
Yeah, to put you
Actually,
in a
not even
grave.
mortuary. These are at the graveside.
That's it.
It's probably 100 rand.
There it is. Now, someone comes to RAF and says, guys, I can't bury my father.
I don't
Can
have
you
money.
help me up front? We say, but 18.4 says we can't. It must be the actual expense, actual cost.
Sure. The actual cost of putting this person in the ground.
Entering you into a grave.
Yeah. Or the
Limited
cost
to that.
of cremation.
Limited to that. It's this act. And now when you arrive at the road accident fund, you are thinking these guys are heartless and all that. This is a heartless act.
Yeah.
Okay?
How is it played out in practice from your observation?
Well, the very same thing. We arrive in places where a family has lost 6 people at one go.
Yeah.
And we tell them, go bury and come back to us.
And when they come back,
Of
one,
course,
they don't have money to pay.
Yes.
To bury.
Yes. When they come back, they actually have buried somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The actual cost must be this cost of actually entering into a grave.
It can't be anything more than 5,000.
So now you see, we try and say, okay, let's understand this person must be moved from here to there and all that and try to make up. But it is against the act.
This makeup.
This makeup is against the act.
Sure.
So these are things we must actually deal with. Now, the battle with the lawyer starts there. I wanted to go to this part. Because
why would lawyers contest that?
The longer
against
takes,
you.
The longer it takes, the more money they make.
Which money? That we're talking about the 25%,
yes,
running costs.
Let's talk about summons.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't issue summons, what money would they make?
They
They need to issue summons so that they can start billing.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what they do. They drip feed us. So Mashabela gives them everything. Maybe there are 10 requirements. You give them the requirements. You arrive in front of them. You say, here are the requirements. Please go and claim from the road accident fund. They give us only 2 things and they leave 8.
Yet they have them.
They have them. You know what happens? Every time we write to them, they say we write an email from the road accident fund. Then they bill. Then they phone. We phone them. They say, received a call from road accident fund.
They bill.
Bill. You call them as Mashabela. Hey, how far? Receiving a call, bill.
Oh.
So that's the thing. So that's what we are trying to change, okay? So if you look at all civil matters on a civil trial roll every day, 88% of them are road accident fund matters.
Sure. I didn't realize it was that high.
And let me tell you what then happens. In most of those instances, people just go there to say, we are settling, just on the doorstep of the court. After all these funny things that has happened for 4 years, when you have got a trial date, then the trial date says that on the day of trial, then the matter is settled.
Who in this case settles? It's the magistrate says.
Both of us at that point. They never, 99% of them never even go in front of a magistrate. When they go there, they are supposed to be just made a court order.
Sure.
It is after all this funny going up and down, which creates money for the lawyer.
Are you saying this process is created?
Absolutely.
For no other reason?
Absolutely.
Who are they getting the money from in that regard?
Us.
I'm claiming.
Yes.
I'm using Letsoalo attorneys.
Yes.
Letsoalo attorneys says they do those funny things of calls and 5 papers, 3 papers, and me calling, and then they build up a bill.
Yes.
Who in the end has to pay? Let's say my claim was going to be $1 million, for example. Who in the end has to pay?
Remember, usually there's an agreement that your Letsoalo attorneys will come in on risk. Okay? So it says that 25% or your cost, whichever is lower.
Of course, yes.
Now, you can imagine whichever is lower. So if the fees are lower, then it means he must take
25%.
That. So he's trying to push it up so that it must be equivalent to the 25%, as close to 25% as possible.
Wow.
So he makes that money. So he's not interested in settling this thing because he's going to make money of it.
So the longer it takes, the better.
The longer it takes for him, the better. Not for you as a claimant. Which is why the battle we are going to have will always be with lawyers, will be with these doctors that are also their friends that seems to exaggerate the
injuries.
The injuries.
Yeah.
Right? Because they are their friends. And you sit with that thing. And here's the thing. When you're fighting this thing, this is the battle for the soul of the RAF. It is when professionals eat the soul of an organization. That's what they've been doing.
Sure.
Actuaries used to charge us 10,000 per calculation. A normal calculation that ordinarily will cost them less than 1,000. A spreadsheet calculation.
Does it need an actuary?
It has to.
Oh.
It has to, because remember, this is not defined benefits. So for your pinky, we don't know how much someone must do the calculation. Yours is different from mine because when I use your hands to do
DJ,
whatever
to control
that and all that.
Yes.
So
I'm a pianist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So it will always be different.
Of course.
So, but remember, they are billing us 10,000 per calculation when they are billing others much, much less. Okay? So
who are others in this context?
No, I mean
law firm,
no,
insurance,
but old mutual, whatever, everyone, you know. So they'll of course. Now it's worse with hospitals, doctors. They charge us 5 times what they charge a medical aid,
and you have proof of this.
Absolutely, it's there. That's why we brought in these things like your minimum requirements, where we are saying for us to be able to accept your claim, at least give us the minimum requirements. Because you see, how do I make an offer to you, Mashavela, when I don't know I don't know your full particulars of claim?
True.
So I'm sitting here. You say I had a head injury. I say, fine, you had a head injury. How does it impact
your life?
What is the damage and what is the loss? And then you don't give me all that information. I don't even know. Sometimes they don't even give us the actual accident report form, which gives the nexus between your injuries and the fact that you must go to RAF. Because you could have fallen off from a rooftop, for instance. Yes, the injury might come in from that. We are saying to them, give us that. And no. When we do that, it's wrong. A road accident fund must not ask for those things.
Sure.
It is worse in this case where we are told by our learned judges that any person in terms of the RAF Act means even illegal foreigners.
Hey, I know you've been having that battle very recently. You're in and out of court because of that.
We'll get to that. But you see, for me, we start there where we say this 10 billion must actually go to the claimant.
Mm-hmm.
Our aim is to say 40% out of every rent, 40 cents or more was going to administrative costs. And it's like, Mashavera, going to buy a medical aid and much more of the money goes to the administrator
than it does to the doctor.
Than it buys you
the medical care.
And we are saying, which fund works on those principles? Because the lower the administrative cost, the better. And we are saying there is no need to litigate. Because if 99% of the time when we arrive in court, we actually settle these claims, why litigate?
You realize that you are flipping this thing completely.
Absolutely.
And by flipping it, you're going to ruffle a few feathers, if not many feathers.
A lot of them.
Yes.
Of professionals.
Of course.
Yes.
And in your assessment, where does the rot lie? Where is it exactly? Could it be greed, or where do you find the rot?
It's systemic.
Yeah.
So you are sitting with a judge that has been a plaintiff attorney. He sits now on the other side. Let's for a moment, because it has happened, by the way, there is a Free State judge that has been arrested for taking money off a minor.
Yo.
And I think that minor got some 1 million when the person got about 3 or something million.
Sure.
And then the guy is on the bench. When does this Damascus happen? When do judges that were plaintiff attorneys suddenly become good people?
You're saying it's not possible.
I'm saying they granted, I mean, not every judge, not every plaintiff attorney is a wrong person.
Yes.
I can't say that. But there are people that have been benefiting from that, and they find themselves sometimes on the bench.
Because life progresses.
And they get appointed
Absolutely.
and all that.
Yes.
The people that recommend them, for instance, these judges, may well be the Black Lawyers Association, which we always are in battle with.
Yeah.
The LSSA, which we are in battle with.
Yeah.
Okay? So they go there on the bench. What then happens? We see some strange things. I mean, we had a judge that said, put the road accident fund under administration. It was Judge Dennis Fisher. It was about a year since I had started. I think it was still in 2019, if it was 2020, where she said the minister must come and all those things. And the SCA has found out that she has overreached. When we said it, it was an uproar.
Sure.
It was an uproar.
There he's starting.
And I said it. I called a press conference and I said, this is judicial overreach of the West Order. And when I said it, it was not okay.
Of course.
Now when the SCA finds that, no one comes back and say, Letsoalo was right. No one says that. Because I'm the guy that is always wrong.
Yeah.
Okay?
So that statement is important.
Yes.
You are painted as a fighter.
Yes.
As someone who, because in my preparation for this, and you don't have to answer any of these. I'm just showing you what I found. It's Letsoalo versus a board. Yeah. What was the organization you worked for before this?
Which one?
That one. It's that. and it's you against the
Braza board.
Braza board. It's you against the traffic cops. Traffic officers. It's you now, NUMSA. It's you with Discovery. They carry on these things. There's so many. And it gives the impression that that Letsoalo is just ready for a fight at any given time. Is that impression correct?
No, it's not correct. Because when I win these battles, no one come and say, but this guy was right. So
he won.
I've just given you a case of a judge who I said, this is overreach. People jumped. I was told you are taking the judiciary and all that.
Yeah.
And I get worried because it is now made a personal issue. It has got nothing to do with my personality or anything like that. People say, they called me Mr. Fix-It pays himself 350%. And that was during the time.
That's the Bontate Molef.
And when Sunday Times apologizes, they don't tell you that Sunday Times has apologized for doing this wrong thing. Letsoalo won this thing in court.
It's still there, you know that. If you say Collins Letsoalo against the Braza board, the first thing that comes up is 350% increase.
But they don't tell you that the judge says that I'm entitled to that money. In fact, to the extent that the press ombuds had asked the Sunday Times to apologize, and they really did apologize.
Why were they fighting you then? We are already here. We might as well. We'll come back to it.
Well, it was corruption. I mean, when you fight, I mean, you are sitting with board members. They themselves pay themselves fees. They paid themselves fees.
From having meetings.
They had meetings, more meetings than they're entitled to.
Okay.
Ended up paying themselves more. And then tried to get the minister to actually sort of ratify it. And the minister said, no. I wrote them letters to say, pay back that money.
Sure.
So now you can understand. That is the first part. Secondly is that you arrive in an organization, and this is an organization that is really struggling, like
Braza at
the time.
Yeah.
Not that it's
changed.
It's getting better now because there are people there working on that. But there were difficulties, but there were difficulties even then. And then you arrive, you find a chairperson who's non-executive sitting in an office and coming to the office every day.
Like he works there. But
now,
that's not,
what is non-executive?
That's not how it works.
That's the reality. Now, this is a guy that is driving a car of the organization that is being taken around and everything.
Wow,
and my first thing was, but Chair, when you are here, who's the boss?
That's governance failure
Who's
at a
the
level
boss?
that doesn't even make sense.
Who's the boss?
Wow.
You go into a board meeting as an executive director. They sit and they say, well, we are going to have in-committee meeting. And then they exclude you. You You say, but I'm a member of the board. And they say, no, leave, sit outside. We are having in committee. Where is the conflict between me and what you are discussing? But those are the things that we had to deal with at the time. And of course, when we sort of fired back and all that. And here's an interesting thing, Mashabel. I've never been paid a cent from PRASA.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Not a single...
I've never been their employee.
I want to pay sleep, PRASA.
No.
How is that possible? Then what was the basis of the story that said you increased your salary
by 350%? That's the point. I mean, that's what people must ask themselves. Firstly, I'm seconded. When you are seconded...
From the Department of Transport.
the Department of Transport.
Yeah.
So the Transport Department is my employer. So for all intents and purposes, any form of remuneration, I get it from the department.
True.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we go to a point where, and I think I started there around July, and it was even getting to November, and I was told I did not get what is called secondment allowance. The secondment allowance was supposed to be the difference between the salary of the group CEO and the one that I'm doing. So the expectation was that I must continue to earn the amount of the DDG while taking the risk of being and get people who are in this organization that report to me earning more than I did.
Wow.
Right? So I complain about this. I say, but Minister, when is this coming to an end and all that? She then says, don't get involved. Let the DG, the acting DG at the time, deal with this matter with the people in HR, in PRASA, and the board. I got out of this.
Was that ever solved?
No, it was, because
that's where the 350...
Then I get paid this amount, and I think I got it around December that year. Yes. I even tell the minister, as a minister, at last I got paid, and she says, you deserve it. Enjoy it with your kids. Right?
It's December time.
And it's December time.
Yeah.
So I get this money, which is paid by the Department of Transport. And then when they pay
Not by...
No, they pay it. They then go and claim it from PRASA. But remember, I don't control what is happening in the Department of Transport. So PRASA has never paid me a cent.
So technically, you've never really been an employee of PRASA.
I haven't been.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't been.
You were, in soccer language, you were on loan.
I was on loan.
Yeah.
I had my own employer who employed me and was paying me. And people never ask those questions. So I sit with this thing, and this is what we took to the court. The court goes and looks at this and says, this is upset. Why do you think this guy does not deserve this money?
Yeah.
He deserves it. He has been acting in this position, and therefore he must get this money. Okay? So that doesn't change. When I win this, people don't say, but what's going on here? Okay?
And nobody reports on the win.
No, but I mean, you get people getting involved in things like someone coming to me and saying, this executive or this senior manager or this general manager has sexually harassed me. Then, of course, what must I do? I must act.
Of course.
Yeah, because if I don't act, then the organization can be sued for this. So I then suspend the person. I had a situation where I was working with a lady who happened to be one of the executives. And at some point, this lady got suspended. And
not by you?
By me.
Okay.
The chairperson of the board comes and says, the mother called me of the lady. So I say, so should my father also call you? Because how does that happen? So it is strange things that happen in these spaces, and you know, I wished, Mashavela, that, and I'm happy that when the Zondo Commission came to an end, it said the issue of PRASA must still be investigated further. Because I want my story there. I really wanted to be at the Zondo Commission to explain what happened there. Because you see, it's easy for us as people that sit and people cast aspersions about us. But the reality and the facts are totally different. And we want to put that for the record so that our children and our children's children, when they grow up, they find that, my grandfather was this kind of a guy that was...
He wasn't so bad.
He wasn't so bad. He's crucified for doing all the right things.
What drives you? And I use this, it's a bigger question because it involves really, you've moved around different organizations, but you seem to have the same drive.
No.
Whatever that drive is, I'm sure you'll tell us. And that makes you come into battles with a few people. What drives you at the core of that Collins Letsoalo? What is it at the core of you?
I'm a perfectionist, that's the first thing. And I think my drive to leave the place a better place than I found it. And that's all I say. When I arrived at Prasa, I said it. I'll leave this place a better place than I found it.
Do you think you achieved that?
Well,
at Prasa in particular?
You can go and check. In the 6 months that I've been there, I've been given a chance. Of course, in the 6 months that I've been there, ask the commuters of Prasa. Ask the people that we are saving. They will tell you a different story. Yeah. I'm the guy that woke up in the morning, was at the depot at 3 o'clock in the morning to catch a train from the depot to go and get my people as they are transported and see how they're being transported. I'm the guy that said to my executive, we will stop meeting in head office. We will meet at different stations. You know why? Because if the toilet is dirty there, we are all gonna use it.
Yeah.
You'll make sure that it's clean the next time. Okay? We're going to have a meeting. There was a time we're supposed to go and have a meeting, and this train breaks down.
You were in it?
We are in it.
Yeah.
We are supposed to start a meeting at 9. And my question was, so imagine a child who's supposed to be writing his exams this morning.
Yeah. But how do they explain this?
Do they go to the examiner and say, well, I was in a train? What about a mother that is working for their kids? They must be always late, and it must be because of our trains.
Yeah.
That's for me what is important, because delivery is that personal. When you want to serve people, you must be empathetic.
That's true.
And this is what you see in the values of RAF. It's I care squared, which is integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, excellence, and empathy.
You still remember the Prasa ethos?
No. This is road accident.
Oh, that's RAF. Yeah. Okay.
Now, it's because when you suddenly sit with that claim, and it's Mashabela's claim, you must think about what Mashabela is going through now. Now, no one comes and claims from the road accident fund and the real victims, that is. And this is a nice experience. It's not a nice experience at all. It's because people are injured.
TV gives the impression already.
And serious injuries.
Yeah.
No. When you see people say, I blew it, most of those people that I blew it are not actually RAF claimants per se. In terms of the law, if we followed the law, those people were not supposed to get those monies because most of them don't look seriously injured.
Well, that's true. If you look at them based on what you're seeing.
Yes. But let me tell you a story about the road accident fund. So, majority of the people that come to the road accident fund say, I'll never work a day in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I've been so injured, I'll never work a day in my life because of the serious injuries. And of course, we give them big lump sums. And then once we pay them, in terms of this law that says once and for all and all that, they can work the next day. Most of them are actually pay as you earn. After we pay them, if you go to SARS, you're going to find them on the pay as you earn.
And when they were claiming, they said, I'm incapable of working again
a day in my life.
That's why I need
this money. And which is why we are saying to them, let's now pay you in annuities. So it's not a lump sum. When you start working, we stop it. So fair.
It's almost
you don't need it.
It's almost like a SASA grant.
Absolutely.
You can't get it if you are working.
Absolutely. So we are saying, that's all the things we are saying. There's nothing magical about what we are saying. There's nothing. We are just saying that those that are entitled must get their fair share.
Explain it in simple terms. I get involved in an accident. The claim is $1.5 million. You pay me.
Yeah.
But you're saying with the reform that you're introducing, you mustn't give me that entire 1.5 million.
1.5 million.
Explain in practice using this example I've just put on the table.
For instance, we calculate your average people that get involved in accident are 40 years. For the next 25 years, we must calculate that money that you were going to get, which is a loss. Bring it back to today, discount it, and give it all of you today.
That's what has been happening.
Now we are saying, we will pay you. At age 45, you start working. We then assess whether you still need that money or not.
So when you're saying you'll pay me, you're not
Yes.
giving me the 1.5.
Yes.
You're giving me what, monthly or yearly?
Monthly.
Monthly.
Yes.
Doesn't that cause an administrative nightmare for
No,
you?
why? Why should it?
I'm just because in the past, it's one payment, it's done.
People that are members of the government employee pension fund get their money
Every month?
Every month. So what's new? There's nothing new, really.
Okay.
It's the same thing. I mean, this is your money. They say you get a third, and then the rest they are going to get in annuity. That's the reality of it.
So
all we are saying, that's what we are saying. We are saying we can give you a gratuity of some sort at the beginning to say sort out your issues around your life.
1.5 maybe we'll give you what, 200,000?
Maybe you need to put a ramp there. You are quadriplegic, maybe you are paraplegic, you need a ramp there, you need this and that in your thing. We can give you that money up front and say, okay, that's fine, just to get you by. Then from there, we then say, this is the money that you must get.
Practical example. And it may be slightly tricky, but you probably experienced it already. Yeah. What is a practical example of that payment? 25,000 rands, 30,000 rands, calculated over the next 20, 40 years.
Yeah, it's probably maybe 20, 30,000.
And whether I work or not, you're not sure yet.
Yes.
I've told you that I'm not working.
Yes.
Do you then lodge an investigation to find out if I'm working? Or how will you pick up that I'm now working?
Because there at SARS, they're going to tell us you are earning pay as you earn.
Yeah.
Simple as that. There's nothing. You are not going to work and not pay.
Of course, unless you're
pay as you earn.
Unless you're doing an illegal
of course,
job.
That's fine. I mean that's your issue. But the reality is that most of the people actually pay as you earn after we have just paid them.
Have you been able to implement this?
No. Remember, here's another provision that is strange, right? So I think it's 17.4, if I'm not mistaken, that talks to.
I can give you a minute to find it.
So no. It's an easy one because it says that in cases where the money is for loss of support or loss of earnings, we can actually pay you in installments. But then at the end it says as agreed. So they never agree. They just say we don't agree, and then that's it. Arbitrarily so. Because the lawyers, remember, they want that 25% now.
They want all of it.
Now.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Average Joe Soap getting a RAF payout in 2 to 3 years is gone.
Yeah. And no fault of their own. It's just life.
No, but yes, I mean, who gives someone that much money? When you have got money that the highest amount that has ever been into your bank account is 10,000 rands, you wake up tomorrow is 10 million. Even me and you.
Yes.
We're gonna it's not going to be a situation where you are thinking, and money has got that aspect of it.
That's
people,
true.
I mean, there was a guy that was, they were showing this thing on social media at some point, and they were showing this guy pushing 4 trolleys. And then he gets there and something happens to his card and he can't pay because there was a limit or something like that. He's insulting everyone. I have this money. You can't tell me that. He gets out and apparently they increase his limit after calling the bank. He then goes, withdraws the cash from the ATM and he pays and he says, I told you I've got the money. And people say this money is cursed.
Yeah, I know.
People will say the money is cursed. But the reality is this. Majority of our people, actually majority of us, can't handle big lump sums in the first place. I don't think that it's fair on them to be given that money. Because it's worse when it's loss of support and this money is paid to Mashabela for a child.
Because the child is a minor.
And then that child
needs
grows
that
up,
money.
One day wants to go to university and there's no money.
Have you been able to implement the monthly payments?
No. They are fighting
still
us.
dealing with
We are dealing with it.
They're fighting.
And that's why we have brought the amendment. Because we are saying, let's try to do this thing within this act. But this act makes it nearly impossible for us to be able to implement the kind of things that we want to implement.
What other change have you introduced? Because there's been a lot of reforms since you're coming into this position. One, you had the lawyers that you've removed. There was a panel of lawyers.
Yes.
Explain the panel of lawyers thing for us.
So, Mashabela, if today I take you to court, you want to defend yourself in court, you need a lawyer. right? That's what was happening to RAF. RAF has got plenty of attorneys taking them to court.
Yes.
They themselves must get a panel
of defending
of
attorneys.
attorneys to take them to court. So there's a panel.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem with this panel. It settles all those matters in front of the court 99% of the time. So instead of agreeing that, guys, no, this thing does not even have got to go to court, but remember they want to, the more they talk to each other, the plaintiff phones them, oh, he has phoned me.
Their billings.
Everyone bills, and then we end up with a bigger bill.
So
but
one,
at the
one
end,
is billing the claimant, the other one is billing RAF.
Yes, no. At the end of the day, RAF will also pay the party costs, which is the cost of the claimant.
You're paying for everything.
We're paying for everyone. Now, we get to the point where all of them are making money, but 99%, it's not me. It's Professor Henny Klober did some work in 2018 where he was comparing this thing, and he was showing that the number is 99.6% of all matters never came in front of a judge. And my question is, if that's the case, why don't we just settle matters? Why litigate in the first place?
They don't get in front of a judge because
it's settled.
It's settled.
Me and you, we fight,
can talk quickly.
and then we talk quickly. Before the judge can see us, we say, no, my lord, we are fine.
We're good.
We are good.
Yeah, we agree on.
We've agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, you can make this an order of court. Yeah, you can make this an order of court, my lord, we are fine.
So the signs and
that's it.
Yeah.
Then the RAF tenders costs, which means that he's paying both.
Both of them.
So I sit there and I say, but this is strange. Okay? So these ones on our side are getting about 3.8 billion. And I'm like, no, but I mean, so if 99% of the time you settle, why do you need lawyers? You actually don't, right? So I said, we don't need you guys. Yeah. In case we're going to need you, we'll get a small number of people that we are going to use the state attorney model. We sit inside and we do that. That's what the RAF then decides to do.
Has it worked for you, the state attorney model?
Absolutely. It has.
Yeah.
It has. But you see, here's an issue. You sit, you work with a system. Now, the system used to work this way. Now, one judge, Deputy Judge President, DJP, then says to our guys when they arrive there that you can't represent more than one matter.
Why not?
That's my question. Which rule? Which nothing. This guy decides to do that. So
your lawyers were going in and out.
No, but remember,
matters.
it works in some cases
Yeah.
Where people want it to work. And of course, things won't work if you don't want them to work.
Of course.
So we sit here with a number. So let's just say we have got about 20 matters today.
Yeah. Yeah.
The expectation is that I must have 20 lawyers doing only one matter. Half the time, those matters are settled. So they don't run trial. They go there, they are settled. So this guy goes there for some 10 minutes in front of the judge. Whatever happens there, then he comes out, then he is done for the day. That's what we've been told.
And his bill. Oh, so that's what they say.
But he's getting a salary. Because when you get a salary, it does not matter how many matters you do. Actually, the more you do, the more productive you become.
True. The more value you extract from your resource.
So that is the difference. And now, you sit in a space where you want to do certain things. And the goalpost keeps on being shifted away from you by the system. Okay? So there is actually systemic bias against the road accident fund in this system. Because people are used to this way of working. When you say, let's change it. Who is Letsoalo to come and change it? Who is this RAF board? Who is this minister to come and change this? We have done this over the years.
Yeah.
Okay? In fact, at the beginning, people said, you won't get the political support for what you want to do.
And so far?
We have the political support of what we want to do, because the reality is this. When I was given the mandate to say, go to the road accident fund, it was because the sixth administration was quite certain that there must be something we must do about this road accident fund. Because if we don't, then it's going to collapse the whole state and the fiscus.
Sure.
Yes.
Has it not been strenuous, the new system of removing the panel, for you to a point where some of the claims there's just overburden on the system where you end up having to pay. I heard you in one of your interviews where you talk about a Section 24 of sorts, where after a certain time, the lawyers are able to just claim. Explain, is it Section 24 or something?
I think it's 24.5.
Yeah.
It's a very absurd piece of legislation. I mean, I must read it for you. You must.
Let's find
it's
it.
absurd. Let me read it for you. Firstly, Majavel, I've worked in the state for a very long time. I've never seen a procedure in an act.
Oh, there's a procedure.
In
As
an
in
act.
Step by step by step.
In an act.
Wow.
Because a procedure is usually in regulations because you can change them time and again.
Yeah, but
this one must now go to parliament for it to be changed. Procedure. Section 24 says procedure.
Okay.
Listen to it. It says a claim for compensation and accompanying medical report under Section 7 shall be set out in a prescribed form which shall be completed in all its particulars. In a prescribed form. In here.
What?
So if tomorrow I decide that let's go digital.
Yes. You have to go to parliament.
It will go against the act, isn't it? Yeah. Listen to this part. B, be sent by a registered post or delivered by hand to the fund at its principal branch or regional office or at the agent who in terms of Section 8 must handle the claim at the agent's registered office or local branch, and the fund or such agent shall at the time of delivery by hand acknowledge receipt thereof and date of such receipt in writing.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? Now, you arrive at the road accident fund, you find papers. You say, well, why do you have so many files?
Yeah. You probably have them now.
No, yeah. So people come there and they say, but there are many files. And I say, of course.
Because everything is paper.
Because the law says it must be delivered in paper. Now it says by registered post. You know what that means? You must go to the post office. It must go to the post office.
Yes.
I might not receive it ever. Now, the 24.5 says, if the fund, listen to this, does not within 60 days from date of which a claim was sent by registered post or delivered by hand. So if it gets stamped somewhere in some post office, somewhere far in the rural areas, it starts counting that 60 days.
Wow.
Because it says...
And it's traveling at that time.
It says the date on which the claim was sent by registered post, right? By a hand or the fund, or such an agent contemplating subsection 1, object to the validity of. So if we don't object, we don't know what is in the claim. It is still en route. If we don't object, the claim shall be deemed to be valid in law in all respects. It may well be that you just fell from you fell from the roof.
Yeah.
The claim is valid in all respects in law.
And that claim at that point,
I've not received it.
It's making its way. It hasn't arrived.
I've not received it. Now imagine, how do I validate something that has got no particulars? So this guy,
you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Even if I see it,
okay,
it comes with documents that are missing.
Got you.
I'm told I must accept it. Now, how do I now object to something I don't know? Now, you have not given me all the particulars. I can't sit and say now I'm objecting because it must be an objective test.
Of course.
To say now I'm objecting because 1, 2, 3 is missing or something like that, or this does not make sense or anything.
Yeah.
I don't have that information. Now, let's go forward. It then says here that no claim shall be enforceable by legal proceedings commenced by a summons served on the fund before the expiry of 120 days from the date on which the claim was sent or delivered by a hand to the fund or an agent as contemplated in subsection 1. Let me tell you a story.
Sure.
So we start this minimum requirements. We say, guys, minimum requirements. We're not going to accept any claim that does not have these minimum requirements and all that. We consult, by the way. We then issue out the minimum requirements as required. And of course, the minister then changed the RAF Form 1 to fit that. Now we see...
It put you in the newspaper a lot, RAF Form 1.
RAF Form 1.
Yeah.
Now, this RAF Form 1 says all these requirements are the following.
Are they basic, these requirements?
They are the ones that we need for us to be able to either challenge it or make you an offer. Okay. So how do I make you an offer when I don't have all those things? Mm-hmm. So I need to
make
an offer.
Give me an example of a requirement in RAF Form 1.
The requirement of RAF Form 1 says
police report?
Give me a pay slip.
Okay.
Yeah, that says these are my...
I earn money.
Give me a calculation that you earn and all those things. All those things.
Got you.
Mandatory things for me to be able to make an offer or at least object.
Does it also, RAF Form 1, speak of the actual accident? The details of the accident?
Yes.
Corner, yes, no dear, and what?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
So that's our argument. Our argument is that you are tying our hands in actually getting to the point where we validate this claim so that we can make you an offer in 120 days, so you must not issue summons.
Let's simplify this.
Yes.
That's well. I get involved in an accident. We'll keep going back to this. I get involved in an accident.
Yeah.
I am claiming using lawyers.
Yes.
We've already agreed that's the system.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the 60 days. Without reading the details, because the procedure, and you said the procedure. I simplify. Yeah. If the paperwork takes 60 days en route, what is the implication of that? If it takes 60 days, whatever reason,
it means that it's valid in all respects in law.
You must pay me.
I must pay you because what it means is I cannot object to it. It's already a claim.
Even though you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Different scenario. And you can help me with the scenarios. Yes. Different scenarios. It arrived a month, 30 days.
Yes.
The information is incomplete, which is possible.
Yes.
As you said, sometimes it's 2 papers, not 8, not 10.
Yes.
What is the scenario there?
Here's the problem. There is a part that says you have got 3 years within which you claim.
Okay.
I think it's section 23 that talks about prescription. It says you have got 3 years within which to claim. 3 years from today.
From the day of the claim?
Let's talk about the day of the accident.
Okay, day of the accident.
So today is what? Is the 8th.
Let's simplify.
So let's go
1st of Jan. Let's simplify.
Yeah, let's make
the
it
date is simple. Yeah, 1st of Jan.
So let's make it the 1st of Jan.
Yeah.
So 1st of Jan, 3 years ended 1st of Jan this year. Would have been someone who got injured on the 1st of Jan 2021.
Aha, got you.
Okay?
Yes.
So you've got 3 years.
Solid.
Now, someone takes all that 3 years and doesn't even give us the minimum requirements. 3 years, all of it.
Possible reasons they don't know.
No, but how do you not know you got injured?
Yeah, well, I don't know I can claim.
No, there's no way in which you don't know you can claim.
No, but our people still don't know. And I claim my people like I have a people.
Yes,
but no, there are people who don't know.
Our people know that there is a road accident fund.
Okay. That is the knowledge is clear.
Everyone knows that once you get injured, you can go to any township, you can go anywhere. They say, hey. Even if, we were talking to one gentleman who was saying he's on a wheelchair and he was saying, I go around malls and when I pass, they don't even know that I work at RAF. I've got something, and then someone says, "Yeah, you must knock me with that thing. I'll claim from the fund." It's because people know that there is this thing called the road accident fund.
Okay,
so it usually takes you 3 years to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then what we are saying is that give us all the information. Still, the lawyer will sit there. You will give him after some 2-3 months that I've got injured. And then every time you go to him, he says, well, the documents are with RAF. And meanwhile, he has not even submitted them.
Maybe you're repeating your answer. What is the reason for delay? It's the up and down.
Absolutely.
The claim, what you call it, the billing.
Absolutely, the billing. So they know they take their own sweet time and all those things, So the difficulty is exactly there, where once you do not do anything to this claim within 60 days, it's valid in all respects in law. Where have you ever seen something like that?
Once I am involved in an accident on the 1st of Jan, I am inform a lawyer, the 1st of Feb. Whatever reason, I'm still in hospital, I cannot tell this lawyer. And now I finally get to sit down with the lawyer and say, let's do that thing. And the lawyer takes my papers. puts them on a shelf that's called to be addressed before 3 years.
Yeah.
Yes, which is possible.
He doesn't tell you that I'm going to put it in a heap that is going to say within 3 years.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm expecting my money. Am I describing a normal scenario?
Yeah. That's what happens.
And now, eventually, he gets to do something about it.
Yes.
After a year, he then fills up a form, registered mail, that process. And now it's en route to you. It's whatever, and it's en route to you, and it arrives 60 days after he.
Yes. It's valid in all respects in law.
You have to pay.
Yes, it says it's valid. It's a valid claim. No, I must now take it as a valid claim. I can't say I object because the objection period is lapsed.
It's lapsed. So only you loses.
Yes.
As RAF in this context.
We do. Now, let me tell you. Then there is a lot of those claims. That will be backlog claims. Remember, they come. All of them. There are many.
Because
so you know, and this is what we're trying to do. We say, give us so that as it arrives, what we then said is that, no, we have got a thing called a pre-assessment. If you come and hand it with your hand, you sit there, Mashabela. If you are a lawyer, you Mashabela. Attorneys, you are sitting there. We are sitting here, we tick. You miss this. In terms of section 24.4a, it's not filled in all its particulars. Please bring this to us.
Happening right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore, the prescription has not been interfered with. Meaning it will still run. If 3 years passes, then you have lost. Okay?
But does it overcome the 60 days?
Yes.
This process?
Yes, because remember, in 60 days, we are able to then object. Once we've got the information, let's just say the next week you bring it with everything. It now complies. Once it complies with the minimum requirements, we go through it and we say, okay, this is what happened. And if we want to call you in, we call you in.
Is 60 days active at this time?
Yes.
60 days activated at this time?
Yeah. Already.
Okay.
It doesn't get activated if you arrive there, and this is not a claim in terms of the Act, because Section 24.4a is very simple. It says, any form referred to in this section which is not completed in all its particulars shall not be acceptable as a claim under this Act.
Got you.
So once you have not given us a claim, you're going to get the papers. These papers must actually be a claim if they are filled with all its particulars. They're complete. Okay? So we then say, let's have a minimum requirement. Why would you fight with the minimum requirements? Why would you fight us?
Yeah.
Why would you fight when it benefits the claimant?
Why are they fighting?
It's this thing of wanting to issue summons. Because think about it. Let's think about it. Let's take a scenario. Mashavela gets there, fills this form, and then we take it, we put it in with all its particulars. And then within that short space of time, we're able to come back to you and say, 100,000 is here. And then you say, I've got it. What will the lawyer make? What will be the fees?
Well, 25% of that.
No ways. It is, or the legal cost, whichever is lower.
Got you.
Now, here is the problem.
Jeez.
Now, here is the guy that just filled a form. RAF has responded.
Yeah.
Which is lower? The only costs consultation, your consultation, the filling of the form, the sending it to the RAF, the reading of the correspondence back probably.
That's it.
How much would it be?
It's almost.
It may not be 2,000 rands.
Yes.
Now here is a guy that could have got 25,000 if he took longer, because 25% or the cost whichever is higher, whichever is lower. So if the costs are above 25%, then you get only the maximum of 25%.
Let's talk real numbers. And I really like this because that's what people will pay attention to the most. The claim is R1 million.
Yeah.
You receive the papers and they all make sense. Yeah. You're happy with the submission.
The submission.
And your calculations with actuaries and all of that says this person must get their R1 million.
Absolutely.
You're happy with that.
We agree.
How much does the lawyer make if they moved in the required speed?
Yes.
It wasn't a long, unnecessary process.
Well, of course, that's what I'm telling you. There will be a couple of consultations.
Yes.
Which wouldn't be much. Which is why they want to generate this thing. This is someone's generation machine. gives them, okay, we went this thing, we went to
So
the
they want to
register.
beat the 25. No, that's
They
why
want to get to the 25.
to the 25.
Yes. They want their legal fees to get to the 25.
Let's 25 what? Percent
25%
of the
of
total
the total
value
amount.
of the claim.
If you are getting 10 million, they are getting 2.5 million.
Yes. So they want, so that's why they lengthen the process.
Absolutely.
So the cost for helping you
Yes.
increases
Yes.
to 2.5
Yeah. So
million.
the efficiency of the road accident fund is to the detriment of the lawyer.
And you can't get you can't reduce 25% as an alternative solution to this problem.
No, it's called the
So, but it's a legal cost that applies across the
an
board.
act.
Oh,
It's an act that you're acting on risk, and therefore the maximum you can get is 25%.
Yes. Wow. This is crazy. You are with bulldogs here.
Yes, I mean, and this is the issue. And then you sit there and you are saying, but really, this is absurd. And people say, no. Let's always, this kind of guy, he wants to fight with the... There's no fight here. This is common sense. Unfortunately, in South Africa, common sense is not common.
Yeah, but you're taking money out of people's mouths here.
Well,
you know that.
Yes, I'm taking it out of their mouth into the mouth of the claimant, who is the intended beneficiary of this scheme.
You've been saying this is the year of the claimant.
Of the claimant, absolutely.
What does that mean exactly in reality?
It means everything we do is about the claimant. We need to empower the claimant to know. I'll give you an example. So there is a thing called attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
So this guy, Mashavela, you go to your lawyer, you sign, and then you agree that, do this thing on me on risk and all that. Now, contingency fee agreement. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
You sign it, it's 25%, and then you leave the offices. He has put it in that pile you're talking about. You come back, you say, hey, in 3 months, where's that thing of mine? He says, no, I've sent it to RAF.
I believe you.
You believe him.
Yeah.
Yes. Then you come 6 months, says, no, I've sent it to RAF.
I'm waiting. They're slow.
Yeah. You come a year later, no, it's still at RAF. Then you do like some guy calls me, hey man, there is this thing. No, call the call center. Goes 087, okay, 820-1111. A client, a call center agent on the other side, say, can you give us your ID number? We can't find this claim.
Not here.
Not here. Then the claimant phones me and says they can't find it.
It's not there.
Then it's not there. Then goes to this guy. This guy says, no, I've done this thing. I say, okay, he must show you the lodgement proof. Then the lawyer disappears. They'll stop taking calls, all sorts of manner of things. And this guy then decides, you know what? I think I want to come to you directly rather than go through those people.
To RAF, yeah.
We say you must understand one thing. If we then don't react, you must issue summons. But you can still come. We'll try to help you within the time and all that. But
you don't need a lawyer.
You don't actually need a lawyer.
Yeah.
But here's the issue. That attorney-client privilege has stopped us from contacting
because I've already signed an agreement.
The power of attorney
is with my lawyer.
Agreement. Now, here's the issue. We then say, but that does not stop you from calling our call center. You are a claimant at the end of the day. But remember what I told you from the initial thing. You are actually suing us.
Yes.
You are actually suing the road accident fund in there. And that is what is making this relationship with us with the claimant very difficult.
Because you are the one who's done me wrong.
Yes.
So to speak.
We are stepping into the shoes of the wrongdoer.
Yeah.
In the way that we are doing things.
The minute, yes.
Yeah. So that is the difficulty of this thing that is based on delict. Where have you ever seen a social benefit fund working on a delict?
Position
it's wrong because now we are protecting the wrongdoer. For what good reason? We don't have a reason anymore. They had a reason in 1942. We don't have a reason anymore.
Yeah.
In 1986, when this became a social benefit fund, we just allowed our people to just do this thing, make it a defined benefit scheme. We know what the pinky costs. We know what below the knee amputation would cost and all those things, so that it's also equitable.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
the most difficult thing about this thing is if the child of my helper today needs loss of support. Something happens in the car. We're in the same car. I go, God forbid, my helper goes. Our children go and claim the loss of support.
Yeah.
My helper's child will get less.
Why?
Because it's based on loss. And the loss is whatever this child would have been getting from the mother.
From the mother.
My child will get more because this is
the loss is
father
valued
was getting
higher.
the father was getting more, so was paying more, and therefore you see
Are you saying that that's already unfair?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
The driver might have been the same driver who paid 218 cents. The amount of the fuel levy is the same
for everyone.
But for the rich one, you get more. So in this scheme, the rich gets more than the poor. That's a fact.
Because you would have lost
More.
CEO salary. I would have lost gardener salary.
Yes.
So
but we are paying the same.
We are paying when we go to the petrol pump.
Yeah.
They're not saying, are you a CEO or a gardener?
It gets worse.
Yeah.
Because I can afford to protect myself.
And I can't. The gardener struggles.
You can't. So that is the equitability of it.
Here's an interesting one. And this is a conversation with a lawyer friend who said, because it speaks of your future life.
Yes.
Kore, in your future, you're likely to earn so much.
It's worse for the children of the gardener.
I was about to say, for the children of the gardener, what does it say then? It says the children of the gardener.
Your frame of reference is your own parent. So if your parent does not have matric, chances are you are not going to get matric. And
that's what it says.
My father was not a CEO. So if I got injured before, you can imagine what would have happened to me.
And you know, this lawyer friend of mine used an interesting example.
Yeah.
Spoke about Judge President Mogoeng and said the parents were farm laborers.
Absolutely.
You cannot predict someone's future life.
But we get it.
In rents and cents.
It's worse because when you are that privileged, you can afford a better lawyer. Then people get senior counsels that are going to come up with a story. Then they can get a neurosurgeon that is going to create things that don't exist, okay? Yeah. So here's an interesting phenomenon, by the way. In South Africa, only 7% of the populace are graduates.
Yes.
On the RAF population of claimants, 93% of them were going to be graduates.
93%.
Whereas the population has got 7%.
In reality,
7%. Then most of them are going to be neurosurgeons. I mean, how many neurosurgeons do you have?
So when it predicts your future life,
yes, the prediction of the future life is out of kilter with what happens in the general population. So it doesn't make sense.
You're saying it's wrong both sides, where we predict you low and say that the father is a gardener. He's not going to end up anywhere.
Yes.
So we'll predict him low.
Yeah.
However, you have lawyers who are saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong, who are saying, no, he's actually going to be a neurosurgeon.
Exactly.
And we can prove it.
Yes. And I'm saying, when you prove it, please bring a report to Mashavel.
Yeah, matric.
No, I got injured as a young child, maybe we go grade 7.
Yes. And you're saying he's going to be a neurosurgeon.
Then we realize, Mashavela failed grade 1 and then also failed grade 3, but he's going to be a neurosurgeon. But of course, I mean, even if we take it in the total sample, we then say the probability of Mashavela being a neurosurgeon in South Africa is this probability. So we must attribute probability.
That's why actuaries come in. Yes.
But they don't do that, by the way. They just say Mashavela is going to be that and that's it. Okay? So these postulations create these distortions.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we are doing. We are now saying we want this to be defined benefit, but in the meantime, we want to have a standard formula
that says
for the calculation of everyone so that it does not depend on the lawyer I get, on whatever.
And on whether my father is a CEO or mine is a...
It must neutralize that, the standard formula.
Are you winning in that regard?
No. We are bringing it in. It is coming to, you will see, it will be issued out for comments. People must comment about it. Because we are just saying, let this thing be equitable. So that you know. But as well, Mashavel, why do we ask our people to go to actuaries? Where do you find an actuary, actually?
Yeah.
If you get injured today, God forbid, where would you find an actuary?
I know one.
Yeah, so you'll just go to your friend. Yeah, but I'm just saying that.
Yes,
I mean, then of course, a lot of average people don't know and how many actuaries do you have in South Africa.
Yes.
So we are saying we should be able to put it in on our website. You guys, you just punch in the variables and it must spill out a number. That is already agreed by all of us.
If it ends up being a bill and an act and so forth. Yeah.
So we're saying that we are bringing in this thing to say, let's neutralize. Everybody must be the same and equitable and all that. And I think for us, it's important because it then simplifies the system.
Yeah.
So that people know, you just calculate it like this. This is how much you
Anyone can work it out.
Anyone can work it out. Right? So we know, for instance, that if you get this much a month, then it means it will translate into this and that and that and that and that.
Yeah.
And for us, I think that is what is important. We are changing that. We are also changing this part of so many variables depending and all those things. So we are trying to normalize those variables and make sure that we have got a standard formula for everyone.
Let me go back to something that I touched earlier, but I think I missed a part. When we spoke about, because I realized I'll end up talking about lawyers again. When you lost the case, you're not this panel scenario, and correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm not getting it right. And where you were told to slow down in terms of your application of this new thing of removing a panel, don't rush into implementing it, and so forth and so forth. If my reading of the judgment is wrong, correct me. And yet it was then said, you'll see your numbers, default judgment will increase because now you don't have enough lawyers in your system to help you defend. Help me understand what happened.
Who says that? Because you see,
do I know too much?
No, you don't. You don't know too much. Right. Let me put it like this.
Yeah.
We didn't win that. We didn't lose that. We lost it where we thought we were going to lose it, which is the North Gauteng High Court.
Okay. Why did you think you were going to lose it there?
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
Then there is there is actually a full bench on what we call Section 18.4, which is people wanting this thing to happen now, and we are saying this order must not come into existence now.
Okay.
It must wait until the appeal is heard and all that. I think it was George Collerpen that was chairing that whole full bench there. So we won that part. We went and won the SCA. After the SCA, we then went on and we won in the Constitutional Court. So that part was that. No. We had already implemented.
Okay.
Remember, an administrative decision is there until reviewed and set aside.
Okay. Yeah, you can change it until they say you're wrong.
You can. If we appeal it and all that and it gets to a point, it must get to a point where it's reviewed and set aside.
Okay.
Otherwise, it must be implemented.
Got you.
They call it the Odekral principle in law. The lawyers call it that. So we then said, and we didn't cancel this thing because people say no, but
you didn't cancel the panel.
No, we didn't.
Okay,
we didn't. It was coming to an end. So we said we don't need it anymore. That's all we said.
Oh, okay. Then the impression I have is that you cut it in the middle.
They said to us, we are forcing you. Okay? So this is what happens. We go there. Okay? So we go and appear in front of, I think it was Judge Norman Davis, in front of the North Gauteng High Court. These guys are taking us there. And we are saying to them, they must give us our files.
Who's taking you there exactly?
The panel members.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
they came together. They came together and
40-something of them decided that they are going to take us to court. Section 34 allows them, by the way, of the Constitution.
They allow.
It says, anyone can approach the court at any time if a dispute can be resolved by application of law. Okay. That's what is happening in Section 34. So they exercise that Section 34 constitutional right.
Within their rights.
Yeah. It's no problem. They then accuse us of a lot of other things.
Okay.
That's fine. We then...
But in the main, they're accusing you of who feta.
Yeah. But the aim is to say, keep this thing on.
Okay. Cool.
And I think they felt duped. They also felt like we cornered them.
Okay.
But it's because when I arrive, I look at this contract, it's coming to an end. But then I find some clause, you see. The clause says this thing will be subjected to arbitration and all that.
Which thing?
If there is a dispute about any clause in here, it will be subjected to arbitration. I knew something. I've never seen the state win any arbitration. In any event, these are lawyers. The arbitrators are lawyers themselves. You're never going to win. So
they are basically you're saying they are the same cabal.
Yeah. As we go and we renew this contract. Because I come in September. I think it's expiring. I think somewhere in November, towards the end of November. And my view is, let's extend this thing to give ourselves time.
Okay.
So we extend this thing, we give ourselves time.
Well, how is it that the media...
Until the end of May.
The media gives the impression that you... What's anyone hack? I fired today.
I called them.
Yeah.
I said, I have got this thing by Professor Klopper that says 99% of the time you settle these matters anyway. Why do I need you?
Yeah.
And I remember our discussion going to the extent of saying, but when you go digital, do you go and discuss with the supplier of a photocopy machine?
or the paper supply.
The paper supply.
Yeah. You're just moving on with your life.
Of course. That's what I said to them.
Yeah.
I said, that's what this gave me. But then I invited them. I said, guys, I have got an idea that we don't need you. But it's still an idea. Dazzle me with your brilliance. Bring me.
Justify.
No, but also even if you don't, but just tell me, how do we turn this place around when 40% goes to administrative cost and you take 10.6 billion? And then 99% of the time you settle anyway.
Yeah.
So come and
give me ideas.
Give me ideas. So we have that discussion. But in there, I delete these parts, remove this part of the arbitration out. And I say, you can bring back my files and we terminate this contract because it has ended. It will end for you. So it means we won't extend unless you sign this amendment, addendum.
These are files of cases that are active.
Yeah. Thousands and thousands of them. In there, we were going to pay something like 1.6 billion for photocopies. At some, I think is it 6 rands a page or something like that?
I'm in the wrong business. We should all open photocopy companies.
So all those things, we exclude them out of this thing and we say, if you don't sign it, please bring our files. Of course, because they started making noise. They said, we won't sign, we won't. And they ended up, all of them, one by one, now coming back to sign. When they realized the other one has signed, they all signed, save for one company. I think it was from Eastern Cape that did not sign. Now, I knew what was in that arbitration because what were they going to do? I feared that they were going to take us on arbitration, keep us there in arbitration saying we don't understand this thing of the handover clause. There was a handover clause that was very cumbersome. Hey, give this to that, and it was not clarified. So we clarified the handover process. Because they were going to go to that so that they say, we are still in arbitration about that. Continue.
Because you can't change it until you've sorted it out. Yeah.
So I excluded the arbitration. I changed the clause. I made it simpler and all that. Because I knew I could sell. So we go and when this is done, right? So I'm like, okay, so the view was that we continue because there was another one there was a new panel that was being advertised.
Okay.
So
and you were happy with this?
No. I arrived, it's there.
Okay.
So I'm like, but guys, where are you going to get this 3.8 billion a year? Because we don't have this money. Right? So the RAF does not have the money to pay for this. And this thing is going to simply collapse us. These costs are skyrocketing like that. Okay? So we need to change this. So the best thing to do is to do it. Let's talk to the plaintiff attorneys. Let them, because at the time I wouldn't think, I was naive. Because I think I didn't think these guys would want to drag this thing. Because they told me that they would want to settle matters quickly. It is the RAF that is delaying this with their internal processes.
Yeah.
Then we then say, okay, we don't need this panel. Let's deal with this ones directly.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's a backlog. It's sitting there.
Backlog of claims.
300,000.
Oh, yeah, I remember that problem. You walked into that.
So I'm like, okay, so we are getting this and all that. It continues, this thing.
It's a deadlock.
So, but on the other side, these guys are busy putting in, the plaintiff attorneys are still putting in claims.
Naturally. So the claims are increasing.
Yes, because we do not even pre-assess them. Most of them, almost 100% of them, the 60 days passes without anything being done. So they're all valid in law in all respects.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm naive. I'm naive because I'm thinking these guys are helping us and all that. So you are sitting with this one. So we then say to these ones, okay, we are not going to proceed with this thing. We write them letters. We say, hand over your files. When we take them to the North Gauteng High Court, we say they are refusing to hand over the files. They say we can't hand over these files. These files will create chaos.
Yeah.
Judge Davis says chaos will ensue if you don't give these people their files.
Either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we go, and I think that was the first part. Then they take us to court on a review.
Okay.
The review is then heard by one of the senior judges. Her name is Wendy Matondo. I think that's the surname. But strangely, Matondo was a defense panel member.
Yeah, RAF.
Yes.
At some point.
Before she went to the bench.
Wow. Okay.
Then I say to my...
vested interests, pretty clear.
No, but, I then say to my lawyers, guys, no, but I mean, let's ask this judge to recuse herself. And with all due respect to some of our brothers that I there on the bar, they sort of, no, it's not a good thing to... I said, but there is reasonable apprehension of bias. I mean, what is this? They say, no. Hey, you can't be doing that. What? They find reasons why this lady must not recuse herself. And of course, they then say, who are you going to find? Because it's either you're going to find one that is coming from here or one that is coming from the
At
fraternity.
some point,
but it's the fraternity. You're going to have to deal with this one, or you're going to deal with another one who has a plaintiff anyway.
Yeah.
So majority of these judges
you don't win.
come from. We don't win either way. So they fight this thing. But I sit very uncomfortable. So I say, okay, that's fine. You take counsel.
You accept it?
You accept it.
Yeah.
You take it on the chin, you move forward. And then, of course, Judge Davis tell them that rules against them, give them the files. And after that, there is this
ruling
review application.
Okay.
Which came very quickly. By the way, reviews are not usually urgent, but this one was an urgent review. It was the first time I saw it.
Why do you even raise the speed?
No, but because usually, it takes you 180 days if you bring a badge application and all those things.
So this was much quicker.
Was quick, fast. It found itself in the roll quite quickly for some reason. That's fine. We are in court. Then suddenly, this thing is me on a frolic of my own, trying to get in between me and the board. He's doing this on his own and all that,
Were you? doing
No,
it
no,
on
no,
your own?
no. But I mean, how?
I'm just asking.
How? Because, when the board was appointed in December 2019, I was there as an acting CEO. We went to a breakaway in January. The decisions and this new model was something that board signed for.
Yeah.
Right? It even went to the minister. The minister is now signing it into our new strategic plan. Okay? So it's a 2020-2025 strategy during that period. So I'm shocked. Okay, it's fine. So you're making it about me. Of course, the 350% comes back and all sorts of manner of things. But
so they bring all
those baggages, the lies that they told in the past and all that coming back. But I mean, I'm unfazed by this because in the nature of the person I am, once I believe in something,
you'll keep going.
If I believe this is the truth, not my truth, this is the truth. My mother and my father will tell you that I wouldn't care less. My mother always say, sometimes because sometimes I say things and I say it's the truth, and she says, but do you have to tell us?
Yeah.
So they don't want me to be blunt like that, but there's the nature of
Don't tell her she's gained weight. Yeah.
So for me, I then say, okay, so we get to this point where she's there. And she lambasts us, and me in particular.
That's the judge.
She lambastes me even before she does that. That's what I'm saying. I was aware of this, and I expected that we were going to lose.
Yeah.
And it so happens that in most cases, when we go to North Gauteng High Court, I know we're going to lose.
What was the basis of her being so hard on you, based on what you were saying? What was she really saying at the heart of the judgment?
She was mainly saying, I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm going to bring this thing, and I'm saying, but you are differing with Judge Davis, who says chaos can only ensue if they don't give me my files. So this is what then strangely happens.
Yeah.
Which is something one day, very soon, I'm going to show South Africa something they have never seen. I've got evidence of bias.
Sure. From lawyers? From judges?
Judges. Recorded.
Whoa.
On a video.
Legally obtained.
Legally obtained. This judge, then, of course, something strange happens. So I'm sitting in this meeting at the time there was a big fight with our panel of attorneys. So our panel of medical experts.
Okay.
Where they are fighting, we are not being paid and all that. And they are not being paid because they did not do the pre-authorization before they did the work, and now they are not being paid. And we are having that big discussion, but we are in this thing. Then someone says, did you just see there's not the judgment about Mabunda versus the RAF? I'm like, what? The judgment is out.
Why were you surprised? Quick.
Preceding that day, so this judgment comes out, I think it was the 1st of May.
Okay.
Because on Friday, the opponents were already jumping around.
In celebration or in
No,
frustration?
they're jumping around. They're saying, no, but the 31st of May is coming. 31st of May is coming because the day on which, because we were supposed to be interdicted.
Yeah.
Our decision not to extend was supposed to be interdicted.
Okay.
Then we were supposed to be forced to enter into agreement with this panel going forward.
Okay.
That's what they were praying for, these guys.
So that date mattered.
That date mattered.
Yeah.
But this date was coming during a weekend.
Which is, okay.
I think it was on the 31st was supposed to be on Saturday or Sunday, but it was during the weekend. So this one started jumping around, writing to the PA or the secretary of the judge and all that. Issue this thing now. Even if you give it now and then you give reasons later. I'd never seen something like that. Someone telling the judge what to do.
What to do.
That's fine. And we are like, okay, so this is interesting. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Then something, when you connive, Spedi se re lo ka e buela lo pe magoko bua go bona. So it means even if you go there, there's someone who's watching someone. So here is what happens. We keep on watching the space. They want this thing to be done on a weekend. So they call us on a weekend and deliver this judgment. Because they knew what it meant for them. It meant that they can't interdict us about something that has already happened.
True. It's a past event.
It's a past
It's
event.
Academic process.
It's academic.
Yeah.
So now they see that, okay, this thing is not happening. So what happens is that then this thing is issued on this Monday. When it gets issued on a Monday, there is the judgment. This judgment comes, strangely, it does not have a letterhead.
What letterhead should it have?
The court
the court
letterhead.
high court.
You know the high court letterhead
Yes.
that you usually get from them.
So it doesn't have
a letterhead. It is actually on the side of the orders.
Okay, without a letterhead.
Yes. But it doesn't set anything aside. You just say some other things and all that.
What do you think is happening?
No. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Very careful. Now, I see this thing. I'm like, this can't be. And at that time at the Road Accident Fund, we were dealing with a lot of fraudulent court orders.
Okay.
That we were dealing with them, working with the Hawks, working together with the judiciary and all that. So I see this, I say, this must be one of the fraudulent court orders. Then we contact our own attorneys. What's happening here? Just later, I think 2 hours later, boom, this one comes, the judgment.
Yeah. But it's already out.
No. We saw what you
saw. Yeah.
We saw what we saw, which is pages that were doing rounds in the social media already. We then get this thing now, but it comes after this one had been out.
Of course. Does this one have a letterhead?
This one has a letterhead. The page number on which the orders is appearing is a different page number.
What impression do you get from this?
No, but remember, it means someone may well have been in on what the judge was busy with. It went out and it leaked. Someone got excited and leaked it out.
Yeah.
But it was not concluded on because the page number must at least be the same.
At least.
So there's movement.
So
So it means it was still some
more words were
added and
Yes.
everything like that.
Was it vastly different? Were the judgments vastly different?
No, the judgment becomes the same. But what happens in the other pages, we don't know what changed. But the thing is, it moved the page numbers.
Yes.
Now I say, foul play. I write to the JP.
Yeah.
JP Mlambo, there's this thing. Of course, my lawyers then start to panic. They don't want to write as I'm writing myself. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to write. I write.
Yeah.
And long and short of it, at the end of the day, the JP then writes back and says, this was concluded somewhere in court. The judge does not want to respond.
Do you leave it there? Or do you do something about it?
I'm told by the lawyers that, no, leave this thing. I still say there's something untoward about it.
The way it played out.
We leave this. There it is. Of course, we appeal. We seek leave to appeal. She denies us the leave to appeal. They apply for 18.3, meaning, they actually apply for variation of the order.
Yeah, man.
Because in the order, there is a problem that certain things were not reviewed and set aside. Because the order must say, this was therefore reviewed and set aside. It's not there. So these guys asked for a 42.
What is a 42?
A rule 42 is to amend the order.
Okay.
But we say, but you can't amend fundamentally what is now. I mean, to change a few things about the order. You can't add big things that are not there. We lose the 42. It's amended. But you remember, it's because it was never going to be changed after it had done circles in the social media.
Of course, because how do you do
Now
that?
they use this 42 to sneak this thing in. That's fine.
Do you still believe that there's a bigger conspiracy in this process?
I have a
It sounds
recording,
like
Mashavela. I have a recording.
Yeah.
May I say this in this podcast?
Yeah.
This recording involves the very same judge. So,
in relation to this case?
No, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Me and you will see it after this. I'll show you, but I won't show you live. But I'll show you. What? Now, and this is later on in the process. Remember, I keep on complaining about this, but there's a pushback. This is a new guy. He doesn't understand this. Why is he doing
doesn't understand how we do things.
This guy, he doesn't understand how the judiciary works, how the law works, and all that.
Yeah.
That's fine. So we then get to a point at which, okay, the full bench agrees with us on I think it was 18-4. They start challenging some of the things that the judges said. They said they're upset and they made their own issues around it. And then the SCA comes, agrees with us, and yada, it goes to the Constitutional Court.
Yeah.
So ordinarily, we'll go and meet with the judiciary. Guys, 88% of the role is our matters. How do we deal with these issues? Then it stops happening now. Suddenly, the invitations start to say, no, but I mean, why are you inviting RAF and all that? You guys are...
And you've had this happen before?
Yeah. Before I came.
Okay.
I was introduced in this method of going to meet with, JPs and discussing these things. But suddenly, all those things, they no longer suit, because if it's me, then it means, there's a lot of other things, but it's fine. So we sit with this as a problem, right? That's why I'm saying systemically in the system, there is this one. So you would have seen the Logodi judgment, by the way. So one day I'm sitting there and I'm told, or before then, we do this stakeholder management thing. So we invite judges and everybody, stakeholders. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Explain to us what are the things. Then the judge president Logodi at the time says to me, there is this thing. Actually, he's not saying it to me directly like that. He's on stage and he says, he was asked to speak. He says, there are things we are seeing in this space that you as the leader of this organization may not be seeing.
Okay.
There is this default judgments. There are many.
That's what led me to this question. Yeah. That's why I said there was an increase in your default judgments.
This default judgment, there are many and all that. So we sort of are sitting there and asking ourselves, where are these default judgments coming from? Why is it that we are not told and all that? At that point, I had picked up that there was this issue of default judgments, and I had said to them, can we have a register of all this?
Okay.
And every time the region must tell us, how did it happen? When did it happen? Why didn't we pick it up? Court monitoring and all that. We picked up that some people in the Road Accident Fund decided not to do court monitoring.
But
deliberate
or just inefficiency?
It is now known that it's deliberate.
Okay.
So they wanted back the panel. Because they got things from the panel. There are people that were paying each other there and all that thing, people allocating. And that's why you would see in that there were people with big number
of
cases,
yeah,
vis-a-vis others that will get very little.
Yes.
And you couldn't understand what was happening there, but it was because of that. So, of course, those people did what they did at the time. So, we sit here with a problem.
Yeah.
Sure. We sit here with a problem because on the other side, we are trying to help the efficiencies of the courts. On the other side, we are trying to finalize our own issues here about the efficiencies. On the other side, we are dealing with these doctors. On the other side, there are these actuaries. On the other side, there are these...
medical aids.
There are all these people.
Medical aids
is later
fighting.
on. Yes. But then we are sitting here. So we then say, okay, that's fine. So let's see how to get rid of this. So we get people, please monitor the courts, tell us the date and time and everything else like that.
Sure.
Then I'm told appear in front of, actually the judge president says, I want you to tell me to come here and explain your decision.
Yeah.
But this is what happens before, by the way. We go to the SCA, we win this case. Just before, right? Just before this Lordy judgment, then there is an appeal by the people that lost at the SCA. Remember?
The panel.
Yeah, to suspend the decision of the SCA so that whatever was there from the lower court continues. Strangely. And they just put in the leave to appeal and they sit back.
Jeez.
Now, we are being direct. We are told, come immediately. And I'm like, but this JP, we spoke.
He knows our position.
He knows our position.
Yeah.
He understands that there are certain things that are happening that we are not aware of. Then it was, I think it was judgment and whatever. There was two things. So we are called. Please come in front of me on this day and all that. On the day, everyone is returned.
What does that mean?
I'm inviting in the order.
Oh,
the board must come. The CEO must come. Okay. The CEO must come. The board must come. And some few people that are functionaries in the RAF. I told you it's 300,000 claims, right? I'm expected to know
details
of one claim out of 300,000. That's fine.
Yes.
So we go there on the day. So when we arrive there, I am with the representatives of the RAF. I'm invited. So I'm expected to speak or at least say something.
You're the lead. Yes.
No, I'm invited.
However,
ordinarily, you would then say, put an affidavit or invite him here. He must be here in his person.
Yes.
I go there. So when I go there as my person, in my person, I arrived there and I think it was on Teams and all that. Then the judge says, starts attacking. Who cancelled this panel?
You. This is a judge.
Who cancelled the panel? Is chaired by the JP. Then there is DJP Mpatlele there. Then there is, I think it's Judge Mashile.
It's heavily represented.
Yeah, serious senior judges, and we go there. It's fine. Then the judge starts asking questions. Then the representative of RAF, and I'm saying this because I don't want people to say that was my lawyer. It was not my lawyer. I was called to come there. So I accompanied the judge. So he came with the RAF as an organization.
Yeah.
So we arrive there, and what then happens is I'm asked questions, but I can't answer them. They say I must answer them through my legal representative.
Okay. How did you take that?
So we say, can we have some few time to actually consult? He says, can I take instructions? I said, no, I'm not instructing you. You're not my lawyer. I will get my own lawyer. You represent the road accident fund. You must represent it.
Yeah.
Maybe other people in the road accident fund, not myself. I'll get people to represent me if I need them. I don't think that at this point I will.
Why did you feel strongly that you didn't need their representative, rather those lawyers to represent you? They could have just been just as capable.
No, but I mean, I'm my own person, isn't it?
In this
At the
case.
end of the day, I'm called in my personal capacity. I arrive there.
Okay.
I need people to represent me. There may be things that I want to accuse the RAF of, or some in the RAF of that if someone did not do their work and everything like that, I don't want to be associated with that. This is in my personal capacity. So I'm brought there. So this judge then says, no, tell us why you should not get Ghost Bonis Pro Peace and all that.
What is that?
In my personal capacity, what did I do? I'm not even a party. This person versus the RAF. There is no second respondent being me or third respondent being the board, nothing like that.
Got you.
So he says, tell me why the cost must not be
implied.
Yeah,
to you.
So I'm saying, what is this? He calls it an inquiry. Of what? Okay. This is strange. So ordinarily, I then say to my lawyers, I'm trying to get a lawyer. So I say to someone, hey man, can you represent me there? I said, what is that? So what is it? I say, it's an inquiry. What inquiry? In terms of what rule or, you know? So this guy is asking me questions I don't understand. Kirema.
But you know you need a lawyer.
No, but I mean, I'm going to court. I might as well need a lawyer. I don't want to incriminate myself. I mean, Section 35 is very clear about the rights of the accused. I think Section 35 3H says that I've got the right to be informed, not to incriminate myself. I mean, at least I must exercise those rights that I at least fought for when I was a Youth League member. You know, of course, as we were fighting for those things. Now, I'm like, okay, so how does this happen? So I say, okay, cool down, Collins. What is the issue? I say, okay, let me write to the JP. I write to the judge president. Explain to me what this is. Because I'm trying to get to the lawyers. The lawyers are saying they don't know what it is. So how do I get representation when they don't know what it is? Then I ask him questions. You called me there. I appeared in front of you. You do not tell me. You refused me to speak when you invited me in front of you. Now you are saying you want to this thing. So I don't know what this means. Explain this thing for me. Which this and that. And I ask questions. Which rule is this? And all that. The answer comes.
Does it make sense?
It just says, I'm not going to give you legal, I won't give you legal advice. This is when senior counsel, very senior guys, are confused. I asked clarity from the judge.
The judge says,
I'm not going to do that.
I can't give you legal advice. Get your own legal advice.
Your own legal advice.
Wow.
I say, okay, what now? We go. I knew.
You go with lawyers who are confused.
Yeah, because I keep on saying, write this. They said, we can't write. You can't say this. We don't know what this is. Let's just go. They go. Then, of course, he has invited everybody.
Of course.
And remember, these people claim to be what is called amicus curiae, which means friends of the court. So he has invited them to be friends of the court. But someone must pay for their costs.
Who's paying for them?
Remember, he said that I must tell people why I should not pay those costs in my personal capacity.
It's either carried by RAF.
No, but he has invited them.
Yeah.
He invites them. They arrive there. I must pay for them.
Sure.
In an inquiry that is not understood by anyone. So, but that's fine. So let me tell you what the interesting phenomenon is. And I'll tell you, when you're conniving, all those things just come out into the open. So what then happens? It gets interesting. We write this thing, we go there in front of this thing, we get skinned.
Does it get clearer and clearer while you're there?
And then I wonder who wrote that thing.
Yes,
is it Zelda Fender?
Zelda Fender.
Aha. You see, this is Zelda Fender.
Yes.
So, even media is invited, by the way. We don't know who invites Zelda Fender, but she's sitting in this arrangement. No. Remember, we are online. We're online. So she has also logged in. We don't know how she knows about these things, but she's also online.
Wow.
But what becomes interesting is what happens next. So I hit me and the board. The board is not even there. At least I was there. The board is not even there.
Not invited or...
No, but remember earlier on they were not there. So I come here. We have got a person that also represents them, tries to do something. Now we are hit with personal cost order. Our names don't appear anywhere in the respondents or anything, but the cost order follows to us. I don't know how. That's fine. So we say, okay, we are going to appeal this. Before I could know that the judgment comes out, I get a call from Zelda Fender.
Very journalist.
She says to me, did you see the outcome of today's thing? Judge Logodi has slept with personal cost order and all that, you and the board and all that. You know, how? She says, yes. So I'm not aware. Where did you get that from?
So journalists found it before you did?
Yes. Like enough, it's on email.
Okay.
She sends it, I say, send an email. Actually, she sent it on my private email. I say, please don't send things on my private email. This is my private email. I don't want people to send it there. The matters of RAF are dealt with there. Then she sends me this email. Then I say, I don't know anything about that. Let me ask from my lawyers and I'll come back to you. It was a rush job. A lot of things like your typos in the judgment and all that. Zelda Fender knew before me. That's fine. Then there is an amended judgment.
Does it fix just the typos or?
It fixes the typos. But here is exactly where Zelda got this from. The secretary of the judge has sent the judgment to the journalist directly.
Sure. After typing?
Yeah, it's there.
After typing?
Zelda Fender at Fender something or saying.
Oh, so
whatever at,
so when
at
you got
IOL.
it, you could see you.
Now we see it there.
Yeah.
Oh. So this is where this woman is getting this. Now here's my question. What is the benefit of the judge sending a judgment
to the journalist? Before you?
No. Even if it's after me, for what? How many judgments does he make? Does he send them to journalists?
What is your impression of that?
Simply playing to the gallery. So we fight about this issue of us having done away with the panel. Now they are coming for me. And they're coming for me even now because what they do, there would be a matter somewhere in Eastern Cape, somewhere I know nothing about. Out of the 300,000 on some odd. And some junior person would not have done anything. I would not even be part of these proceedings and everything. And then this plaintiff attorneys will be saying, the RAF is in contempt, and they would say, and the CEO is in contempt as well, and he must be hit with personal court orders, plus he must go to jail for contempt. I was dealing with it this weekend.
Really?
Yes, there are many, where people are saying, I'm in contempt.
In person.
In my person.
It reminds us of the public protector in some way.
Now, read 15.3 of this act. It says the following. It says, legal status and proceedings by the fund and limitation of certain liability. Then says, the fund may institute or defend legal proceedings and commence and conduct, defend, and abandon legal proceedings in connection with claims investigated and settled by it. What is important? Second, it says an action to enforce a claim against the fund or an agent may be brought in any competent court within those areas of jurisdiction, the occurrence of which caused the injury or death took place. But here's the important part, 15.3. No member of the board or officer or employee of the fund or other person performing work for the fund shall be liable for anything done in good faith in the exercise of his or her powers or the performance of his or her functions or duties under or in terms of this act.
Maybe they're questioning good faith.
What is this good faith?
That you're not acting in good faith.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
I arrived at the road accident fund. We had 1.2 billion worth of duplicate payments that these lawyers had. 1.2 billion, Mashabe.
What?
In duplicate payments. And let me tell you what was happening. They would go, attach our bank account, apportion themselves money when they know that the wheel has already rolled on. It's like your salary where you are saying the roll is already in. And then someone resigns. And then maybe you are paying this person on the 25th. And this is the 24th. And then the money is already gone.
It's already gone, yeah.
Okay? So this is what was happening. They would do that, knowing that the money is already gone. They will then attach our bank account and take the money anyway. By the time that will runs, they get paid double. Now, when they get paid double, and they will say, no, it's an efficiency of the fund. It's not true, because what then happens? The law says once you receive money in your trust account, you must use it for the purpose for which it was meant. So this is payment to Mashabe.
Yes.
It comes twice. It's the same amount.
It's clear why it's there.
Now you can't go, Mashabela, and put it in your business account out of the trust account and use it to buy a Bentley.
No.
And come and say, but I did not know what it was for.
Is that what they're doing?
That's what they did. 1.2 billion. A lot of law firms, more than 200 of them.
Yo.
We ended up reporting 102 law firms that were recalcitrant, refusing to pay us. The others are there. But they had already spent the money for a purpose for which it was not meant by taking it out of that.
And putting it into the company's account.
Yeah. So what is this bad faith? That's the beginning. Secondly, the termination, but the SCA found that we are right. The termination of the discontinued saying we're no longer going to need a panel in the future. When it lapsed by a fraction of time, we then said we do not want it anymore. So it ended on that day. We said we don't want it going forward. But what is interesting is that we did not want it. And one of the reasons we give is we can't afford this.
Okay.
How can it ever be bad faith?
It's reasonable to say I can chill it.
Now, in our targets, we target to reduce legal costs by 75% in 5 years. Go and check. We have reduced those costs. The Auditor General has confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what is this bad faith? So, there can't be any bad faith there in any way. But a mistake is also not bad faith. Let's just argue that I thought this will work and it did not work. How is that bad faith? Okay? But it works. Still, when it works, people want to create a story about it.
Is it working now?
It is.
It is. Panelless.
It is.
It doesn't cost you a default judgments that are alarming?
But here is the part that, there is a judgment by a retired Judge Bertelsmann that says the RAF likes bringing cases to court which it has got no merits defending.
For example?
No. Here it is, you are actually injured. There is, you are due 5 million. I just did not get to it. When I go to court and I defend it, you issued summons because of this 25, whatever. When I go to court, what am I defending? I must come and say what?
Because there's nothing there.
Yes, there's nothing to defend.
Yeah.
So, which one is better? I must now come in front of you, waste resources of the state, come and argue a case that is meritless. This is what Judge Bertelsmann says. So when that happens, it says we have a legal obligation not to do what we are doing, which is clogging the courts with matters that are meritless. And when they come, and remember what I'm telling you, when these guys go, they make sure some of these things, they're not even served on us. Like I'm telling you now, when someone is going to go for a default, a contempt of court, they must serve this matter on me in my person. I agree, that's what they're saying. I've never received those things. But there is a judge that will say, ruled aside, they call it. And he'll say, this guy must be committed to this crime. Come and tell me why you should not be subjected to prison.
And you didn't even know anything about it.
I did not know anything about it. So it's strange, okay? Yeah. But it happens in this space.
Do you have enough manpower to deal with this post a panel?
Yes.
Do you have enough manpower?
No.
Where do you find this manpower now? Because I imagine these are people that are...
We went and hired people.
Okay.
I think it's 80-something now.
Okay.
We are going to increase them depending on the capacity that we need. But I mean, the aim is that at the end, if you bring your minimum requirements, we'll settle this without it being 120 days. There won't be a need for a summons. Now, this part where the minimum requirements are not there, it's what we call a summons generation machine. Because there will always be 120 days, there will always be a summon. Yeah. Then you must defend it. When you defend it, there must be a court, then you need lawyers.
Yeah.
The aim is to make sure that before the 60 days we deal with this thing, before 120 days we give you an offer, you don't need a lawyer.
Do you move at a good enough speed so far?
Yes. Yeah.
What makes this any different from the past? I know the challenges, but what have you changed?
Because now we pre-assess your claim for the minimum requirements.
Yeah.
Earlier on, we will leave it until the 60 days passes, and then it will be valid in all respects in law. And once it's valid in all respects in law, then you know for a fact that it's going to go for summons and all that.
Yeah.
When we block it before it gets to that, because we say you're missing this and that, you go back and we check, and then we are able to do this thing. We could be able to do this thing in 120 days.
One of the changes you've done is you're encouraging us as people who are experiencing accidents to complete the forms ourselves.
Yes.
How has that worked for you so far?
Well, it has worked to the extent that people understand. I mean, this is a very complex system, as we are saying. As we are saying now, we are bringing in this formula.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, Mashabe, we don't discourage you from going to the lawyer. We don't.
Okay.
We are just saying, be mindful when you go to the lawyer what this lawyer would want from you and what it would mean. Okay?
Because I need a lawyer?
The lawyer is in here.
Uh-huh.
The lawyer is in the act.
Yes. However,
even if I say to you, don't need a lawyer, but he's in the act.
However, I don't understand the legalities of this process.
Yes.
I was involved in an accident. I'm a regular folk.
Yes.
I feel this process is quite intimidating for me, which is what South Africans go through. Then how do I overcome
That's why I'm saying get a lawyer. There's nothing wrong with getting a lawyer.
Yeah.
But understand what it means. In most instances, it means your 25% is gone. In most instances, it means even more than your 25% because you'll still get that money and it won't be paid to you. Like we are seeing it.
Are you saying the lawyers who don't pay?
A lot of them.
Through the money to
a lot of them.
Claimants.
And when they are reported to the LPC does nothing, which is why at the beginning of the interview I said, I still stand by what I say.
Which that lawyer...
That they are a gentleman and ladies club that is meant to protect each other. Because there are people that will say to the LPC, come, suspend this guy. He has chowed money of this thing. He has done 1, 2, 3. And the LPC will say, we'll take our sweet time. And how long does it take? A long time for them to even move. I mean, on the 102 law firms who have got evidence, who have got everything, they even went to the extent of signing what we call acknowledgement of debt with the SIU. And still, the LPC has not done anything about it. We even went and reported it to the legal practice ombudsman.
Sure. Because the LPC's role is to protect us against lawyers that are doing wrong.
Never.
That are giving us bad service and so forth and so forth.
You have just told me that you agree that the majority of those people will be plaintiff attorneys. So you would understand that in the disciplinary committee of the LPC, there sits people that tomorrow might be reported, or they're already reported. Some of them I know about. They sit in that committee. Well, what do you think they're going to do? They told us that when we talked about duplicate payments, they say they gave you your money anyway.
Well, so they paid you back?
No, but if they paid you back, what does that mean? I can't catch you and I say you are a thief. You say, well, here's your money.
Take your thing.
That's fine. Life must go on.
Yeah. So you're saying the crime was committed?
Yeah, the crime was committed. So you can't argue any other thing. So this is what I'm saying when I'm saying the unfairness of this is that there is this systemic bias against the RAF.
Is it a winnable effort from your perspective?
Absolutely. There's nothing that is not winnable.
Yeah.
You know, our forefathers, I don't know if you have ever read a book called The Founders. I think Adre Odendal. And I've read 2 books of his and I found them very... and there's another one called Dear Comrade President. It tells you about the history of the South African Constitution, that this thing happened somewhere in Zambia. That when people think that, no, this thing was given by some people elsewhere and all that. And I think, what is it? When I'm an activist. So what is it an activist you do? You activists usually are before their time. Sort of, in your thinking, you must also project this vision. I'm seeing a vision of an empowered claimant who gets his fair share or her fair share of the RAF kitty, which is 48 billion as we speak today. And I'm saying much more of that money must go to that person. It's doable. If we just do this thing, simplify this process is like your SASSA would do. Get what is called what we call defined benefits. Pay this in annuity rather than lump sums, right? Be there when the people need you. So once Mashabela gets injured, from a point of view of medical assistance, we are there. Here's the problem. We looked at our undertakings. We realized that only, I think it was 7% of undertakings are being used.
What does that mean?
Meaning, an undertaking is to say, your future medical expenses will pay for.
Got you. Yeah.
But here's the problem. Mashabela lives in Mamelodi, goes to a doctor in Mamelodi and says, I've got an undertaking from RAF that says they will pay you. The doctor says, I don't want to queue and wait for another 3 years for RAF to pay me. Pay me and claim.
Okay.
So majority
Makes
of
sense from the doctor's perspective.
Yeah, but I mean, it's prepaid.
Yeah.
So this person must have the money to take themselves through procedures and claim from RAF.
And the average person doesn't.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
How can that ever be? I mean, how can that ever be? How can you expect? And this is why the privileged can use the undertaking. The have-nots will never use this undertaking. So that's what we are trying to do. We are not trying to say, let's get a basket of services that you get. Once you are injured, we'll say 10 physiotherapy sessions, this many, this procedure and all that, like a medical aid would do. And then say, we sit behind this at the Road Accident Fund, that it's like a medical aid. In 30 days, the doctor will get whatever they want. That's what we want to, so that it's accessible to our people.
True.
Right? Then we then say, when it's loss of support, the first thing we must do is, ensure that once the merits must be ran quite quickly for that.
Yeah.
Because these are vulnerable people. They've just lost the breadwinner.
They need the cash.
That, yes. So that we can at least help them in the meantime when we are looking at other things to do in the meantime. So those are things we are trying to bring to change the system. And that's why people fight us about this Amendment Act. They do not want the Amendment Act because it is going to change fundamentally what they had seen as a cash cow for them, which is something that our people actually need.
Are they law firms that, in your opinion, in your observation, make solely or largely their money from, over the years from RAF?
You'll be shocked. Big law firms. Some of them we think that they are intellectual property firms. I don't want to name them by name, but when you see the building is so big, and we realize that 70% of their work, some of them used to pay dividends every quarter.
What?
Yes.
Every quarter?
Yeah, some of them had an international investor investing in this thing.
Just so they can make RAF money?
Absolutely. Some of them live overseas and they've left their law firms here.
Jeez.
So big law firms. You're speaking about big money here. So
what kind of money are we talking about?
I'm saying to you 10.6 billion.
Is it
a year?
Yeah. So it's shared among
how much? If you think about it, what do lawyers do? They are selling a legal service, right?
Of course.
So how many hours do you pay to buy 10.6 billion worth of hours? How many hours?
That's a ridiculous number of hours.
How many?
I don't know. It's hundreds of thousands.
I mean, imagine. For what? For coming to settle? 99% of the time.
Filling a form and waiting and then coming to settle.
That's it. You make more money than corporate lawyers.
King David Studio Podcast.